ciencia.
Me, myself, and I still pushing forward, I'm ahead like die. Standing on my flow with my head to the sky. Pass on a bitch, young rip, drop dimes. It's been a rough road, gotta look for the signs. I'm married to this music, so I cook for my bride. Flip out like a skateboarder, look how I grind. It took a long time, but I'm right on time. I'm progressing, that's progressive, I got bars like a correction. Still chasing petty cash, that's a mantis. I want extra, I stop searching for my pops. I hold my nuts just like a checkup. I get physical, I'm copping just like Interpol. I play on words like a syllable, to me the world is fading. Hold this L just like a Laker, like a birthday, my shit caking. It get messy like an apron, I pick out just like some bacon, and I sizzle like it too. Can't forget about you, boo, it feel like we on a loop. Same shit, different day, I don't know what's really true. I get high as I leave hoops, who gon' give me what I'm owed? Man, I guess nobody knew, and I know that money talks, so what it said is probably true. It's the feeling that I get, and the shit I'll probably do to get through or get by. I get fly, cause I'm Jeff Goldblum in my mind. Tell them hoes to fall in line. If you thought I fell off, bitch, I'm back like my spine. Hot as homemade pie, that's the pro rate, ma. I'm a pro, ain't I? Sniff it out like K9s. I'm a thief, it take time to be great, I'm Bayside. I get blue like Kelly Parker, when I'm gone I left a mark. Tell them fish I'm still a shark, I got will, I will embark on this journey till it's finished. In the midst of all this friction, I got vision on my P's like no limit. Like a mouse, now we clicking, I go out for the spinach, that's business.
Cut the cord that kept us connected, blacking out the mirror where your light once reflected. All of the love from up above, we used to feel like a glove. I still think about the you that only exists in my brain. Nothing ever stays the same, guess it's just a shame. There's no one to blame.
Stop looking for somebody else to lay the blame. Without a wave of change, life stays the same. So when I pull up to your spot, I'm with a paradigm chick. Only used to have one and it's my paradigm ship. Calls for celebration, I cracked the hen. I took a hiatus, but I'm back again. A bunch of blue face hundreds, I've been stacking them. Cause in the game of life, I just have to win. So when I'm in go mode, I be ballin' insane. Tried to walk away, they was calling my name. My brothers from another, we are all in the game. Don't give a fuck about clout nor all of the fame. I'm trying to inspire, empower, build and progress at a steady rate. Move heavyweight like a Bowflex. The haters make me greater, they mad, I got them so stressed. Shock my style for a while now, I can show text. Screenshots as proof and receipts. You a certified clown, been a goof in the streets. Angel made the beat, but this my demon flow. Get a lot of love from people I don't even know. And when the situation's ugly like Dudley, we do right. Fuck propaganda, let's conquer and unite. The wait's over, take over, it's commencing. My money fully grown, and yours like an infant. But that ain't no shade to you, it's just provision and protection, what you made to do. Being a man with a purpose, who you supposed to be. Living life as a loser, that's a joke to me. FN 509, stay close to me. If I pull it, I'ma spray like some potpourri. I don't wanna have to go there, so hopefully you don't try to have no beef or no smoke with me. Bro, everything I'm talking about, be backing it up. I'm back in the cuts, rapping the Dutch and macking a hut. She start to get aroused when I'm smacking her butt. Baby got stupid cheeks and she be clapping it up. I'ma enter through the front and hit the back of her guts. She a classy lady but be acting a slut. When we be kissing and cuddling, my bitch like to hug. Her box customized so it fit like a glove.
Turn your radios up. Turn your radios up. Y'all know what this is. Y'all know who this is. B-Eazy Dat Dude, an impromptu stream, back with another one. This one is gonna be a banger. Most definitely controversial, so it will be a doozy. I don't like to keep y'all waiting. So before we get this thing started, you know, I gotta hit ya.
If you know the song, sing along. Yeah, you're right.
私も地元民。と言っても、実は世代です。もう友達できたの？うん。ぶっとこっち見ろ。
Look, this promethazine got me leaning like a cholo in the club. I'm 20 deep. I don't be riding solo. Pull some bad bitches, they vanilla and cocoa. They wanna take some photos when we kick it out in Soho. Chicks are showing tits and popping pussy for my promo. Told them like juvenile, baby, move it for me slow mo. Then I'm right back to the block, cause I keep getting moto. I be flipping, not shrinking. I don't give a fuck about no This nigga name ain't D-Lo, but pimpin' these bitches and stacking this bread forever be my stilo. This is B-Eazy Dat Dude in the trap making pass smooth. If I ever go broke, then I'm about to pull a jack move. Since a nigga healthy, I don't even gotta worry. With my bitch from Fiji eating tandoori and chicken curry, that ism is really in me. My pimp ain't international. I design my own clothes, so I be always looking fashionable. Here's a couple facts about me that y'all didn't know. Some of y'all be getting bread, but I be getting bigger, dawg. I got bigger guns and a whole lot of better.
And we are activated, and it looks like we've already been joined by some illustrious guests. Let me get some shout outs before we get this thing started. Of course, we had first in the building, Roger Meadows, my New York family. Where Brooklyn at? Shout out to Nassau County. We got Last Call, reporting live and direct from an undisclosed location, perhaps on the East Coast. Who knows? The Last Call, the man of mystery. We also got the FBA family all day. There would be no USA without FBA, and that's why we got Tutneys up in here. And then we got none other than Tay Baby, A-Tay in building. Now look, y'all seen the title, y'all seen the thumbnail. Who are God's chosen people? Right? Now, that may seem like a trick question. So that is just going to be the preface for the discussion. So let's give a quick little brief overview, right? Because we want to know who the hell are God's chosen people. All right. So when it comes to God's chosen people, this idea depends entirely on which religious tradition you're talking about. Each tradition means something different by it. None of the major interpretations imply that people outside of the chosen group are worthless, inferior, or unloved. I would challenge that, but let's just take it at face value. The concept usually about responsibility, not superiority. So let's talk about in Judaism. Chosen means chosen for a covenant, not chosen for favoritism. Yes, this is what they say, but we know that all of these groups practice favoritism. They practice tribalism as well. And of course, they practice racism. The Jewish people are chosen because they entered a covenant with God, allegedly, starting with Abraham, renewed at Sinai, right? The covenant is about obligations, following commandments, ethical duties, and preserving a relationship with God. It's not about being better than others. I would disagree. Many Jewish scholars emphasize that being chosen is a burden, not a privilege. So being the chosen people is a burden, and I'm a victim. This is not a privilege to be the chosen people. Okay. And mind you, this is all based on a belief, right? So people are well within their rights to believe this. But unfortunately, when others say, I don't believe it, and I have either anecdotal or scientific biological evidence to back up my beliefs, then somehow it turns into you're being anti-Semitic, right? In Christianity, chosen is open to everyone, allegedly. Christianity reinterprets chosen people to mean anyone who accepts the Christian faith becomes part of the new covenant. So if a dude goes out there and is a PDF file and then he decapitates 4 people and it says, hey, I want to, devote myself to the Christian faith. I mean, could he or she become part of this new covenant based on this reinterpretation that is open to everyone? No one can judge you, or what they say, only God could judge, right? So that means if there's a mass serial killer, only God could judge him, not you, the mere mortal, right? Being chosen is about faith, not ethnicity. So faith is a belief. It's not a biological or scientific reality. Just because you try to speak it into existence doesn't make it any less imaginative, right? The chosen are those who follows Christ's teachings. Look how vague, broad, and nebulous this are, right? I'm sure there were PDF files that were following Christ's teachings in their mind, right? Now, what does this mean for non-Christians? Different denominations vary, but mainstream Christian theology teaches that God loves all people and desires salvation for everyone. Being chosen is not an ethnic category. In Islam, chosen refers to prophets and communities with specific missions. Islam teaches that God chose certain prophets and community for specific tasks. Now, even these alleged chosen prophets, none of them are infallible, right? Many of the prophets are false prophets, but you believe that this authority was bestowed and granted to them by the Most High and the higher power that you've never seen or ever witnessed. It's just your faith to believe it. It's the epitome of trust me, bro. Now, Muslims are called to be a community of the middle path, meaning balanced and just, right? But if you look at a place like Dearborn, Michigan, which is full of Muslims, but what demographic of Muslims, right? Why is there segregation among Muslims if you're supposed to be building a community? It doesn't say build a community of middle path of white passing Muslims or Asiatic Muslims. Build a community of middle path, just exclude the black Muslims, right? Where does it say that in the Quran? But isn't that what's going on? Why is there a separation if you're all Muslims praying to the same higher power, right? And allegedly, if you're doing righteous by these teachings, you all would go to the same place, right? So you mean to tell me that in the afterlife, you guys are going to be together, sipping pina coladas, holding hands, recapping scary stories over a campfire? Is that what's going to happen in the afterlife? No one thinks that. And if you do think that, why wait to the afterlife to unite and come together? Right? Why is there a segregation of churches and mosques and synagogues? Right? If it's all about just the faith. So it's a lot of contradictions within this religion. And I say religion is a hell of a drug. And in history, I believe that it's been more detrimental than beneficial to people. I'm sure there are some benefits, but overall, I think it's been more detrimental. When people are going raping, pillaging, and plundering lands, most of the time it's done in the name of religion. In the Hebrew Bible, the Old Testament, chosen is about purpose, not hierarchy. Even in the original biblical context, Israel is chosen to be the light of the nations, a moral example. Well, right now, the state of Israel, that isn't the state that the Bible describes, like Joe Biden and other non-Jewish Zionists said, if there wasn't a state of Israel, we would have created one. They were thinking about creating Israel where Uganda was, right? And then they settled over here on the Middle East. Many of them immigrated or have ancestry from European countries. And they're saying that they're the chosen people and this is our land and we're the moral example. The moral example that's presiding over a genocide right now. The moral example that can't stop meddling in the affairs of other alleged sovereign nations. Do you really look to Israel to be the moral example? They're slaughtering mostly women and children right now. And you want to talk to me about morality? This idea is tied to responsibility, suffering, and moral discipline. What moral discipline is Israel taking? What responsibility are they taking for the genocide they're presiding over and the suffering that they're causing to other people? See, they say that they're suffering because someone said globalize the intifada or free Palestine from the river to the sea. We're victims. Okay, you're victims because of what someone said. So that justifies you to kill hundreds of thousands of people in the name of being chosen, right? So that's a preface to the discussion. So we're going to go ahead and get into the video. Just give me uno momento to pull this up. And I appreciate y'all being here. Y'all could have been anywhere in the world. Y'all chose to be here with me, at least momentarily. And for that, I thank you. Now I'm about to react to a video from a homegirl, Sabby Sab. Salute to this sister. You know, she is a big dog in this content creation, especially in the political space. And she's about to go live in about an hour, right? So, check that out. And then, if you are not feeling the topic she doing, hey, you can chill right over here with me. But salute to the sister Sabby Sabs. This video you can watch uninterrupted on her platform. And it's titled Tucker Carlson Exposes Huckabee. So there's Mike Huckabee. He's part of the Trump administration. He's some sort of ambassador. I can't remember his position. I'll get it as the video is playing. But he went on Tucker Carlson's platform. It was an interview / debate type of thing. And he was exposed. Some of these things that you already know, but many people don't know. So this will be new to them. So let's get right into the video. And of course, I will be pausing it, fast forwarding it, giving commentary to make the video transformative. Let's get into it.
And on a variety of issues, but I do agree with him when it comes to this issue here about Israel and the U.S. Bending the knee to another country, the U.S. sending money to Israel. I do agree with him about that. And I think one of the things that you'll come away from this interview is this idea that Mike Huckabee knows what he is talking about, because he does not. I think this interview actually made Mike Huckabee look 10 times worse. I really do. And honestly, I would think if you're a Christian, you probably walk away from this saying that Mike Huckabee is basically just a fake Christian. Go ahead and bring that in here. Shout out to Gen X Girl for clipping this.
Get on the plane. We get a text from a reporter who somehow knew that this had happened. I have no idea how. I had no interest in publicizing it, actually. There was, a long trail that showed that the U.S. Embassy had been coordinating against us in a public relations battle before we even got there. They were leaking that we demanded to do it at the airport because we were afraid to go into Israel. We're cowards. Okay, we're cowards.
Didn't I tell you there was already pushback, right? So they were already against him coming there to do this interview.
Right. And so I just said to the reporter by text, they pulled my guys into a room, interrogating them. This is outrageous, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The interesting thing is I never heard from Huckabee or anybody to this moment from the U.S. Embassy about what security did to my producers. they didn't ask us. And instead, Huckabee went out and called me a liar. So it raises, again, the question, who exactly is Huckabee working for? We're American citizens in a foreign country. He's our ambassador. He represents our country. We pay his salary, but he's taking the side of the foreign government without even calling to say, hey, what happened to you at the airport? Did you get hassled? Did your guys get hassled? No. He just immediately repeats their lies without even consulting us. So, like, what are we looking at here?
Yeah, I'll tell you what you're looking at. No, Mike Huckabee basically works for Israel under the guise of being this American representative. That's who he basically bends the knee for. That's who he bows to. That's really who he's working for in the grand scheme of things.
And it's not just him. It seems like our entire Congress, even the MAGA moronic maniacs who were shouting to the high heavens, make America great again. Many of them seem to be MAGA, not MAGA, MAGA, making Israel great again. Is that what you voted for? When people say they're America first, they see that the establishment bootlicks and toadies, the buck broken bozos, that they're Israel first. This is why they're trying to convince you that somehow bombing and sending your children to Iran to fight another pointless war, somehow that is American interest. No, it's the interest of the elites and the oligarchs and the people that want to do the great reset and usher in this techno-feudalistic society. All the things that they tell you is a conspiracy theory, right? Until it happens, until you're powerless. They're already surveilling every aspect of your life. Most of it you give them consent to, right? So look at all of the things that they can spy on you with consent. So imagine what they're doing without your consent.
And this is why I said in the last video, did Mike Huckabee set up Tucker Carlson with this interview? Because he could have done this interview virtually. He could have done this interview right here in the United States. Why did Tucker Carlson have to go to Israel to interview him, to have this conversation? So yeah, there are many politicians that have been captured, and Mike Huckabee is just one of them. He's not the only one. But I want to go ahead and get into this conversation here. I broke this up into different sections here. The first part that I want to get into, they are discussing how Mike Huckabee feels about Israel allowing sex offenders to freely come there. I thought this was a very important question. Honestly, I did not expect him to ask this question. I thought the conversation was mainly going to be about the genocide in Gaza and how Christians are treated in Israel. But no, they do get into this. He does get into the Epstein situation. And I think you guys need to hear this because I think it's very revealing on Mike Huckabee's behalf. Listen to this.
And Americans in prison in Israel, there have also been, and there continue to be, dozens and dozens and dozens of sex offenders, accused sex offenders from the United States who fled to Israel, including one recently, an Israeli government official who was caught trying to molest a 15-year-old girl and fled to Israel and is not going back to the United States to stand charges for attempted molestation of a child. Have you advocated for the Israeli government to return him to the United States?
I'm not familiar with that case. It has not come to us at the embassy. So I'm not aware. Is this the person in Nevada?
That is correct.
Okay.
So before Sabby gives her commentary, let me go ahead and pull this down, right? Because a lot of people always try to say that the Black community has an accountability problem, right? And I'll say, actually, I vehemently disagree. We are the only group that holds ourselves, to a particular standard when it comes to certain things. So just give me one moment. Let me pull up this other screen. Sorry, I thought that was a different one. Hold on. I wanted to pull up something about the alleged pedo activity in Israel. So just give me one moment. Actually, let me just get like 30 seconds to pull this up. So don't trip. I got a visual for you while you wait. Hold up.
Hey, 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 yo. B-Eazy is that dude. You already already know, for sure, you already know. It's easy to see why he is that dude. He's been a favorite, even if you hating it. Give him his flowers, pay him respect. He's a certified legend and one of the best. B-Eazy, remember the name.
B-Eazy Dat Dude.
Okay, so we back. So I'm trying to pull this up, but for some reason it's having difficulties. I guess when you want to try to hold when you want to try to hold certain communities accountable. Okay, so hold on. So I'm pulling this up right now. My apologies. Okay, so now you guys could see that, right? So it says the idea that Israel is a haven for pedophiles appears in news reportings, not as a blanket statement about the country, but as a documented pattern involving specific cases, right? So CBS News reported on Jewish American fugitives who fled to Israel to avoid prosecution, including a man accused of assaulting a 9-year-old in Oregon who lived in Israel for years before being arrested there. Some offenders obtained Israeli citizenship under the law of return, which can complicate or delay extradition. So some of these dudes were committing pedo crimes, fleeing to Israel. Then they apply for citizenship under the law of return. And then when the U.S. says, hey, you're a pedo, you need to come back here and answer for your crimes. You do the crime, you do the time. And Israel's like, hey, well, they're an Israeli citizen and you can't extradite them. And if you can, and if they do get extradited, it's delayed and prolonged. Right? So what else do we have here? Hold up. The Times of Israel. So this is the own Israeli outlet reporting this. The Times of Israel reported that activists have raised concerns that the diaspora sex offenders increasingly use Israel as a haven, prompting community-based efforts to track and warn the public. These concerns focus on legal loopholes, not on Israel intentionally protecting offenders. Well, if they know that these people are there, they are intentionally protecting them. But this is of course, the AI and the search engines trying to come to their aid. Just call it what it is. In 2025, that was just last year, wasn't ages ago. A senior, y'all know what the word senior means. A senior Israeli cyber official arrested in a U.S. sting operation fled the U.S. after being charged with serious offenses. Right. So we've already had dudes over there playing with 9-year-olds, fondling young kids, and then they're fleeing to Israel because, as some reported, it's a safe haven for some pedos. Let's get back into the video.
Healing on Mike Huckabee's behalf. Listen to this.
And Americans in prison in Israel, there have also been, and there continue to be, dozens and dozens and dozens of sex offenders, accused sex offenders from the United States who fled to Israel, including one recently, an Israeli government official who was caught trying to molest a 15-year-old girl and fled to Israel and is not going back to the United States to stand charges for attempted molestation of a child. Have you advocated for the Israeli government to return him to the United States?
I'm not familiar with that case. It has not come to us at the embassy. So I'm not aware. Is this the person in Nevada?
That is correct.
Okay.
So first red flag, right? So this is the first exposure here of Mike Huckabee. He just told you that he wasn't familiar with that case. But then he says, oh, is this the situation in Nevada? So that tells you that he was familiar with it. He knew exactly what Tucker Carlson was referring to. We covered this last year when this happened, when an Israeli official, yes, he was caught in a sting, basically trying to sexually assault a 15-year-old.
Another thing, Mike Huckabee is in the White House cabinet administration. He has access and privy to classified documents, information that hasn't been reported to the public. How could some average Joe Schmo on the street know about Israel allegedly being a haven for pedos, but Mike Huckabee doesn't know about it? Is it that he doesn't know, or that he's playing stupid?
Girl, and he got on a plane and he fled to Israel. That in itself is very problematic. The US government should have the ability to extradite him back to the United States and hold him accountable. But because it's Israel and he's there and he's Israeli, he basically gets away with it. This is the culture. This is what they do. This is what I was saying before. When people say it's just the government, no, it's not just the government. What kind of country sits back and says, well, if you're out there messing with children, you can just come flee right here to Israel and we'll welcome you with open arms? Who does that? Who basically says there's no accountability for this? Israel.
Once again, people love to say that the black community needs to take accountability. Could anyone point me to a Jewish content creator that's talking about Israel being an alleged haven for pedos? Someone in the chat, let me know. I'll pull the video up right now. Because you have a bunch of well-meaning black folks criticizing black people constructively. You have a bunch of Sambos and Tethers criticizing black people irresponsibly, disingenuinely. You have non-black people demonizing and denigrating black people in the name of accountability. You have multiple people of various backgrounds saying that they have black fatigue and black people need to take accountability. We are under a microscope. We're always being scrutinized internally and externally. Who was giving this psychoanalysis of some Jewish people, right? Find me one content creator that is talking about the Jewish alleged pedo scandal, right? You won't find it, right? So when people talk about this accountability, right, it seems to be a one-way street.
Does.
I heard
Clark
about
County, I would imagine so.
Yeah, I heard about it, but I heard about it through open source media. It was never something that was presented to us, but I would have no.
Oh, he heard about it. So again, I'm not familiar, but I heard about it.
No problem with him being extradited back to the U.S.
You're the president's and our country's representative in the state of Israel. So I think it would fall to you to advocate with your friend, the prime minister, to say, wait a second, we have a very close relationship. We're obviously the single largest source of outside funding for this country. How can you take an accused child molester and shield him from American justice, send him back to the United States? Have you ever had that conversation?
No, because the prime minister would not be the proper person
that may be
in
right.
Israel.
Pardon my ignorance. But
that would deal with an extradition. It would go through their court system. And so the prime minister is separate, very similar to what we have in the U.S., where there is a separation of powers. So it would go through something other than the prime minister.
Have you?
It doesn't matter. You are the American.
And yeah, shout out to Big Rig Slaps. Of course, I got it on sub mode. I'm at like 700 subs and change. I have a goal. I'm trying to get to 1,000. And once I get to 1,000, I'll make another goal. So I appreciate the people. Even if you a hate watcher, you don't have to agree with everything that I say to like, share, and subscribe to content. I'm all for the debates, the banter, the competitive banter, the contrarian views, you know. So if you want some good content and some triggering content, like, share, and subscribe to your boy. It won't cost you a fee. 100% free.
That is there, right? So the point that Tucker Carlson is trying to make here is, why are you, you know, as the American representative that is there, seems to be there more than he is in the United States, why aren't you advocating for that? Why aren't you being vocal about that? Again, I'm telling you guys, these people, this Huckabee character, Mike Huckabee is a fake Christian, because Christianity would tell you that this is wrong. Christianity would tell you that this is not the right thing to do. So
yeah, but what Christianity will tell you that it's wrong? Because many people use Christianity, but most of the atrocities that you know were done under the name of some religion. If it wasn't Christianity, it was some other religion. I had to do this because of Allah. I had to do this because of God, right? So these are all beliefs. It's not a fact. You're trying to convince yourself that it's a fact just because you believe it, but not everyone believes that, right? Most of the slave owners were Christian. And I'm talking about in America, not the entire globe, right? Many of those slave ships had Christian names. When black people were being lynched, there were a lot of people that were holding a Bible while they were watching them being lynched. They would make a spectacle out of it. They would have picnics and do things like that. They would go to church service and after that, go lynch some black people in the name of Christianity, right? And then others say, no, they were just practicing it wrong. Okay, well, tell me who's practicing it right. And then people can't really give you an answer because they'll point to someone that's corrupt. I thought they were practicing it right. They'll point to someone else that's immoral, right? They'll point to someone else who's not living up to the words of the scripture. And then they'll follow it up with, only God could judge, huh? Like, what is this shit, man? The hypocrisy is glaring.
remember the one of the things that the Bible does talk about are the false prophets, right? And that's basically what Mike Huckabee is, a false prophet. Just because you have Reverend in front of your name doesn't mean that you are following what the Bible says you're supposed to follow. And that's if you believe that. I have many questions about the Bible. As I've said before, I don't believe those are all the books in the Bible. I don't believe that there hasn't been some type of goal with that version of the Bible that is commonly used in the United States, King James, etc., to basically advocate for this oppression and the elimination of Palestinian people and any other people in the Middle East. I feel like there was a goal with that. And I also feel like you have a lot of false prophets like Mike Huckabee.
And then when it comes to the Bible, right? At the bare minimum, there's over 450 different versions of the Bible. And everyone thinks that they have the right Bible, right? Where is the religious and cultural infringement on the Bible if you can just create 450 different versions? What is being added into these Bibles? What is being omitted? Then people say, no, you got to read the Old Testament. No, you got to read the New Testament and this and this and that, right? Everyone believes that they have the right Bible, right? But I mean, there's 450 different versions or 450 different ideologies, right? I'm just saying, if this book is the holy grail and the pinnacle of morality, why would there need to be 450 different versions of it? Imagine you made a dish for dinner, right? And you said, this is the perfect dish for dinner. You don't really need anything else except for this dish. And then someone recreates that same dinner 450 times. I mean, so is that dinner that important? Is that dinner that prestigious and prolific if it needs to be changed, amended, remixed, revised that many times? Who has the real Bible? According to anybody you ask, they all have the real one. So why are there hundreds of different versions of it? I'm being rhetorical and facetious with this line of questioning, of course. Let's get back into it.
All the books in the Bible. I don't believe that there hasn't been some type of goal with that version of the Bible that is commonly used in the United States, King James, etc., to basically advocate for this oppression and the elimination of Palestinian people and any other people in the Middle East. I feel like there was a goal with that. And I also feel like you have a lot of false prophets like Mike Huckabee that are preaching a word that is actually not the word of God in order to run cover for these Europeans who moved to the Middle East to continue colonialism and supremacy. And he's one of them.
You advocated to the courts, to judges, to anybody in the Israeli justice system?
There has never been a request for me to engage in that. I would be happy to do it if the White House sent a message to me. I do work for the president. I serve at his pleasure. If anyone at the White House were to say to me, would you please go and make a case for it? But probably if that were to happen, it wouldn't come through the embassy as much as it would likely come from the Department of Justice at the U.S. in D.C. They would make the request. They might involve us, but they very likely would not.
This is just babble right now. This is him splaining, basically saying that he didn't do nothing and ain't gonna do nothing. We get it, bruh. You don't really care. All of these pro-lifers, America First, who care about kids, suddenly they don't care about pedos and kids being fondled and assaulted when the people are Zionists and part of the J community. Crazy, huh?
So let's pause here for a second. You don't really work for the president of the United States. You actually work for a much big global power, and you're really working for Israel. That's why he's always there. The point here to be made is that Mike Huckabee has done a number of interviews. Just did another one recently on Fox News. Mike Huckabee, during any of these interviews, never brings up this issue. So it's not just about him going to talk to the court or the embassy. It's also about him mentioning it at all. And he doesn't, because he is protecting them. Now, make this make sense, guys. You have someone who is supposed to be a pastor who is protecting offenders, sex offenders who are harming. Again, false prophet.
Does it seem strange to you that people accused of child molestation in the United States are allowed to have refuge within the borders of our closest ally? How that doesn't make sense to me.
Well, I would say that
if you've molested an American child, shouldn't you be required to stand justice?
It's an allegation. Let's be clear. One of the things about our system of jurisprudence, you're innocent until you're proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt.
But you don't say that about things that happen to people right here in the United States. So do you see how he's running cover for the Israeli criminals?
And they never run cover like this for American criminals at all. And I'm not saying that they should, but y'all know my acronym, CESL, SESL, same energy, same logic. Keep the same energy, apply the same logic. I get it. And theoretically, you are supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. But in this system, if you don't have the complexion for the protection, as soon as something is alleged and people say, yeah, he did it. Oh, let me guess. He didn't do nothing. He's one of the usual suspects of the 1350. It turns into that, right? But he haven't even went to trial. You haven't even made the police or the law enforcement make and prove their case. And people are already vilified in the media. But when it comes to alleged Jewish pedos, some who are proven without a shadow of a doubt to be pedos, Mike Huckabee puts the cape on and says, no, you can't demonize them. You can't call them pedos, even though there's a bunch of proof with all of the Kitty XXX videos, and we caught them red-handed being a pedo. You can't call them a pedo because they're innocent until proven guilty. Well, if they're so innocent, why did they flee to Israel and get citizenship and hide out in the pedo haven if they were so innocent?
It's an allegation. Do you see what he's doing here? Well, it was just an allegation. Okay. But when we had the pro-Palestinian protests And there were protesters that were accused of being anti-Semitic, even though they were not. Did Mike Huckabee say it was just an allegation? No. The students that were being threatened with deportation, like Mahmoud Khalil, did Mike Huckabee say it was an allegation? No. In Mike Huckabee's eyes, they were already guilty. But when it comes to Israeli crimes, it's an allegation.
Caesar Milan, how to add years to your dog's life. Sardines.
9.
Bone broth.
10.
So if the charges are there, should he be extradited? I would say so.
The charges are there.
Yeah. Okay. So they should be, but that's a Justice Department decision, and they're the ones who should be pursuing it. To my knowledge, they haven't. They certainly haven't engaged the U.S. Embassy over.
Why would the Israeli government harbor fugitives from justice in the United States?
I'm not sure that
there are dozens and dozens and dozens. In fact, there's an Israeli group that keeps track of them that is dedicated, Jewish Israeli group dedicated to combating the molestation of children, and keeps a long list. And anyway, you can look it up. And I
hope you're not saying that you think the Israelis support the molestation of children.
There was a CBS News special, CBS of all places, years ago, that covered this story. It was the very first time I heard about it, that Israel had become a place that was known for harboring sex offenders. And they probably would never run that story today because Barry Weiss is in charge of it now. But that was when I first heard about this. It wasn't this case in Nevada. It was that CBS News special years ago. And I was like, whoa, what is happening here? Right? So this is very problematic. And I applaud Tucker Carlson on bringing up that particular issue, because it's one of the ones I think that when it comes to Israel, a lot of journalists do not touch, especially corporate media. They don't really want to touch this as much, not after October. Talking about it now. And what it basically shows you is that I wouldn't say that they support the, molestation of children. What I will say is that when you have a supremacy mindset.
Uno momento, because I got some time today. So let me try to pull something up. Just give me one moment. Bada boom, bada bam.
A CBS News investigation has uncovered a loophole that allows accused and convicted American pedophiles to escape justice by moving to Israel. So Ian Lee has been following this for more than a year, and he traveled to Israel for this investigation. He worked with a group that tracks people accused of sex crimes, which estimates dozens of Americans have used this loophole.
So, he's 6'2".
We are on a stakeout looking for this man, Jimmy Julius Caro, 48 years old and wanted on charges of sexually assaulting a 9-year-old girl in Oregon back in 2000 and a 5-year-old girl in Israel in 2001. He's considered dangerous. But these photos are a few years.
Couple quick questions. Who raised these people? Whose culture is this? Were these dudes raised in the fatherless home? Did they have a silver spoon? Where's they daddy at? Fair questions to ask. I mean, if they looked like George Floyd or Trayvon Martin, these questions would be asked, right? Is this anti-Semitic? This is not me. This is CBS saying, is Israel a safe haven for pedos? Don't take my word for it. This is what CBS is saying. Let's commence.
Investigation. He worked with a group that tracks people accused of sex crimes, which estimates dozens of Americans have used this loophole.
So, he's 6'2".
We are on a stakeout looking for this man, Jimmy Julius Caro, 48 years old and wanted on charges of sexually assaulting a 9-year-old girl in Oregon back in 2000 and a 5-year-old girl in Israel in 2001. He's considered dangerous. But these photos are a few years old, so we don't know if he'll look the same. He remains elusive. Previous attempts to capture him have failed.
Obviously, the fear that he would somehow figure out that anyone's looking for him and bolt. He just called his number.
Shauna Aronson got a tip that Caro's expected at this clinic near Tel Aviv.
Who's going to call the
She's
police
with JCW, Jewish Community Watch, an organization that hunts down accused pedophiles who flee to Israel from the U.S., exploiting a process called law of return, whereby any Jewish person can move to Israel and automatically gain citizenship.
The ease with which pedophiles seem able to use this law as an escape route haunts victims like Mendy Hawk, who says he was abused from age 8 by a teacher at an Orthodox Jewish school in Los Angeles.
So your classroom is right here. How does it feel being back?
I was very anxious and, stressed coming back here. And a lot of memories coming through my mind.
Memories of his alleged abuser, Mordechai Yom Tov, who taught him Hebrew studies when he was just 8 years old.
So in the beginning, he would just rub me like outside of my pants. And then I would say about 3 to 4 months later, he started going like in.
Reaching down your pants?
Yeah, it's reaching down.
Why did you feel like you couldn't tell anyone?
I was scared. I was ashamed. I just didn't know what people would think of me, of the whole situation.
Yom Tov pled guilty in 2002 to sexually abusing and committing lewd acts against 3 other boys.
Anyone?
I was scared. I was ashamed. I just didn't know what people would think of me, of the whole situation.
Yom Tov pled guilty in 2002 to sexually.
This is disgusting. Mordecai Yom Tov committing lewd acts against 3 boys. These are just the ones that are reported, right? This is CBS doing a story, and then now it's been buried. And like Sabby said, now since Barry Weiss, a Zionist, a rabid Zionist at that, she's never going to let a story like this air. But I thought this was about morality. I thought this was about accountability, right? If it was a black person, the head of CBS, which they would never put, they would expect that black person to be a mammy and hold the black community accountable. Even if some musty, crusty, dusty nigga in Chicago does a crime, what the hell does that have to do with me in California? How am I to answer for some nigga I don't even know in Chicago committing a crime? But fine, you say it's a culture issue and we all have to answer for it. So since I have to answer for the nigga in Oakland in Chicago doing a drive-by who I don't know, but because he has melanin, I have to answer for him. What Jewish people are answering for this disgusting act of PDF activity, right? And not only that, many of these people are racially white, right? So that's a whole separate issue as well. Whose culture is this?
Abusing and committing lewd acts against 3.
I just didn't know what people would think of me, of the whole situation.
Yom Tov pled guilty in 2002 to sexually abusing and committing lewd acts against 3 other boys. He served jail time, but when he was released, he violated his probation and, according to JCW, fled to Israel with help from individuals within the Orthodox.
He molested young boys, and he only did a year. There's black people in jail that were given football numbers for having a little bit of weed. You know, the same weed that is legal in many states, the same weed where it's a bunch of non-black people selling metric tons of weed. So they give a black dude, hey, you do the crime, you do the time. Why didn't you comply? Why didn't he comply selling the 1/8 of weed or a 1/2 ounce of weed? 14 grams of weed versus these non-black people selling metric tons. Hey, but it's legal now, so it's not the same, right? They were given football numbers for selling weed. They weren't selling weed to victims. They were selling weed to people who said, hey, bro, I got a little baddie tonight. You know, I want to roll up some blunts. You got some weed for me? These were people who wanted to buy weed, right? They weren't victims, right? However, this dude did victimize a bunch of young boys, several of them, and only served a year for it, right? But This is what they call the justice system. When they say everything is fair and just and equal, right? Show me one story of a black person committing even a low level crime and only getting a year for it, right? Let's get back into it.
Jewish community.
Situation.
Yom Tov pled guilty in 2002 to sexually abusing and committing lewd acts against 3 other boys. He served jail time, but when he was released, he violated his probation and, according to JCW, fled to Israel with help from individuals within the Orthodox Jewish community. JCW tracked Yom Tov down and confronted him with a hidden camera in Jerusalem, where he admitted to illegally fleeing the United States with help and using a fake passport to enter Israel.
I was supposed to stay for 5 years in the same city. I was supposed to join the homicide sort of thing. I was supposed to go every 2 weeks to the police station. I left within a week later.
He had this message for his victims.
I'm very, 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 very sorry.
The other person in this video is Mayor Seawald, the founder of Jewish Community Watch. He tells CBS News Yom Tov's case isn't uncommon in the Orthodox community.
The same thing that's going on in the Catholic Church right now around the world, the exact same thing happens in our community. The rabbis say it's, you know what, he promised he's going to go for therapy, he's never going to do it again. Boom, he's in another community. A few years later, he's at the same thing, and we hear more allegations that the person continued to abuse children.
And often, those abusers end up in Israel. Rabbi Yehuda Oppenheimer says he unwittingly helped Caro escape.
There was nothing that raised any red flags up to the point where he was moving to Israel.
Well, I wish I could say that, but unfortunately I can't say that.
Now, who's going to take accountability for these? These pedos are not just victimizing young people. They're being helped by older, more senior people to commit these heinous acts. And I get it. Huckabee is saying, well, you know, you can't say that the Israeli people accept this. Yeah, I'm sure not all people. This is why they have a Jewish organization that are whistleblowing and calling this out. However, it is pervasive, and many people have been desensitized to it because they believe that they're going against the race and ethnicity by calling it out. But what do they always tell black people? Y'all have an accountability problem. Y'all need to take accountability. Okay, fine. We're taking accountability. Who is going to take accountability for this? They are fleeing accountability, and Israel is allowing many of them to do that.
So he had violated his parole, and now they were looking for him. He said that there was something in the past that had happened when he was young, but nothing had ever happened since. I've changed and I'm a different person now, but you gotta help me. I felt that I could trust him.
So these dudes play with little boys' booty holes, flee to Israel and say, I'm a different person now. And then many of the rabbis say, hey, look, he doesn't play with booty holes anymore. He's a different person. They put him in a different neighborhood. And then it's alleged that they continue playing with more kids' booty holes. This is disgusting and detestable.
Gabe, there was nothing that raised any red flags up to the point where he was moving to Israel.
Well, I wish I could say that, but unfortunately I can't say that. So he had violated his parole, and now they were looking for him. He said that there was something in the past that had happened when he was young, but nothing had ever happened since. I've changed and I'm a different person now, but you gotta help me. I felt that I could trust him. So I wrote him a letter, and he bought a ticket, and he left.
Caro is accused of abusing more children when he got to Israel.
What was that like for you when you found that out?
Punch to the gut. It was very painful.
Rabbi Oppenheimer says the reason he came forward is to shine a light on the process of accused pedophiles fleeing to help ensure it doesn't happen again. Back at the stakeout, an ambulance pulls up and a man steps out. It's Caro.
That was definitely him. Oh my God. Okay.
The police are called and eventually arrive. His days on the run are over as he's led away.
Did you assault the girl in the United States? No. Did you flee Israel because you assaulted the girl in the United States? Have you ever assaulted any girls in Israel? Do you know that you're wanted by Interpol?
There's relief as police escort him to their car. This marks the end to a months-long manhunt.
Oh my gosh! Can I give you a hug? I have something I need to tell you. Yeah. Okay. We found him, and he was just arrested. What? He was just arrested.
Wow. Oh my gosh. You might
Amuna, not her real name.
Well played, Roger. This comment might have got you your black card back. So Roger Meadow says, to those who say he wasn't white, he was Jewish. It's the Jews. So what does that mean if a black man decided to convert to Judaism? Am I no longer black but Jewish? There's no race called Jewish. 92% of American Jews identify as racially white. When they're checking that box, there's no big bad boogeyman behind them. There's no 44 Magnum to their head saying, if you don't check this box, we're going to blow you to smithereens. They voluntarily choose to check the white box because they are white. Many of them are descendants of Europe. And I'm not saying every person in Europe is white, but clearly these people are. When you see Bernie Sanders, he's Jewish. Bernie Sanders is a old white dude who happens to be Jewish. Same thing with Jon Stewart as well, right? So people like to play these games and frame it as a race when they know that it's not. But yeah, okay, fine. If it is a race, when I convert to Judaism or Kanye West converts to Judaism, is Kanye West the same race as Ben Shapiro? Who are we kidding here?
Is the person on the other end of the line. She was a little girl when Caro entered her life.
I was 4 or 5 years old. My mother was on bed rest. My father's a rabbi, so he wasn't really home. He used to come to our house. We used to play games, and then it became sexual. I'm going to give you a cookie because you do it so nicely. It's all about the cookie. It's all about lying, and it's all about being so evil to a little child. He also threatened me. He would kill my parents. He would choke me. He would hold me. He would kidnap me.
How did that affect you?
A lot. Yeah. It affected my whole life. My whole life is around this sexual abuse and rape. Yeah.
Amuna turned to therapy and art to help deal with the trauma.
This is in my bedroom and my inspiration.
She paints and writes poetry, but she's still angry that it was allowed to happen in the first place.
What are your thoughts on him being able to come to Israel and flee the...
So, like the epi-pedophiles, they say that they care so much about the victims. Here you have a victim that's alive who was still distraught and devastated by some leaders in the Israeli government allowing many pedos to think that, hey, this can be a haven for them. Many pedos come there and say, yes, you know, we thought America was the land of milk and honey. Well, Israel was the land of milk, honey, and pedos. And what are they using that milk and honey for? Israel is the land of milk and honey where some pedos go and use the milk and honey to seduce and entice young people to fondle with various orifices. How disgusting could you be?
What are your thoughts on him being able to come to Israel and flee the United States?
It brings up a lot of anger and a lot of frustration towards the Israeli system.
Shauna says the failure begins in the U.S.
Why would someone want to help one of these pedophiles escape?
Oftentimes, there's some sort of community incentive. Either somebody owes them a favor, or someone in the community, let's say an institution, has covered up for them in the past, and they know that if this goes to court, there's a lot of civil liability coming down the line, you know, and it's going to cost a lot of money to a lot of people, and nobody wants to deal with that.
Shauna accuses the Israeli police of not prioritizing accused pedophiles on the run.
Why do you have to be the ones that do this?
Because nobody else is. That's really, I don't have any better answer than that.
And if you guys weren't doing it,
Then nobody would do it.
Israeli police told CBS News that, quote, the police coordinate closely with the Ministry of Justice and worldwide police organizations in order to find suspects overseas. Today, Caro faces charges in Israel, while back in the United States, the district attorney's office in Clackamas County in Oregon told CBS News they are working with federal authorities to secure his extradition. But Mordechai Yomtov remains at large. The district attorney here in Los Angeles told us they have not requested Yomtov's extradition and that they had no other comment. Jewish Community Watch says that is the problem. If American officials don't try to get accused pedophiles from Israel, then they simply escape justice and leave children at risk. The U.S. Department of Justice declined to comment on specific cases, but praised their relationship with Israel's law enforcement, adding sex offenders have been successfully extradited in the past. Days after Caro's arrest, Amuna confronted him at an Israeli police station.
It was good. It was good to confront him. It was important for me to have that closure in my life.
The healing process will continue for Amuna, but for many, like Mendy, the lack of justice means the pain continues.
I have 3.
So there you have it. So let's get back into the video. You know what I mean? So who's going to take accountability for Israel being a haven for some pedos? Whose culture is that? Who raised those people?
And you have convinced yourself and you have brainwashed other people that you're chosen so you can do whatever you want to do. That includes things like that. That's the problem with supremacy. That's the problem with this. Well, I'm chosen, so I know that I'm going to a better place anyway, so I can do whatever I want to do. That is the problem with that.
Obviously, I'm not saying that.
Okay,
I'm saying that the Israeli government shields accused child
I'm not sure
molesters from justice in the
I'm
United
not
States.
sure I could say that that's something that is provable. I don't know.
It is provable. Again, the CBS special ran years ago. See, all of a sudden now he doesn't know anything. The guy who knows all this stuff about Israel and talks about Israel all the time, all of a sudden when it comes to this issue, I don't know.
But I am not aware that the Israeli government is shielding people.
You obviously want to sleep well in fashion.
We have to scoot through here. Sorry about that. The ad. Because then we get into the Epstein part.
Alexandrovich? I think that's right. And I've written it down, but of course my handwriting is...
Oh, this should be interesting. We about to get into the epi-pedo list. Let's see what Huckabee or Mike Huckabee is going to say.
So terrible I can't read it. But yes, he is an Israeli, I believe, cybersecurity official who was at a conference in Las Vegas last year and was caught up in a sting designed to catch people soliciting sex from children. He was one of a number of people arrested for this. He was arraigned and charged. And then 2 days later, he fled to Israel and did his first hearing by Zoom. He was allowed for some reason to leave for a foreign country, having already been charged for a attempted molestation of a child. And he remains here now. And there have been many news stories about this. And I just wonder if you would ask the Israeli government to put him on a plane and send him back to face justice for attempting to molest an American child. It doesn't seem complicated.
No, I wouldn't mind doing that, but I want to find out if the Justice Department of the U.S. has already sought to extradite him. Is there anything in process? I don't know.
Why wouldn't they seek to extradite him?
I have no idea. That's a question for the Justice Department.
I have many questions for the Justice Department, like why are millions of Epstein files still classified? Why do you think that is?
I have no idea. I haven't kept up with that. I've never met the man. I don't know him.
You haven't kept up with...
Nobody said or alluded to the fact that you met him, Mike Huckabee. I found that very interesting that he added that part in there. See how defensive people become about these.
Not only that, it shows you how pathetic and feckless he is. Dude, you're a part of the Trump administration. How are you going to say that you haven't kept up with the epi-pedo list? He's keeping up with everything in Israel, but he's not keeping up with American victims who were assaulted by a bunch of pedos, a bunch of white pedos, because y'all saw what those emails were saying. Epstein didn't want any niggers around, right? And if he did have a black around, it would be a token person that he can put a battery in their back, do a photo op, and say, hey, this person is part of the overseer class, right? So overwhelmingly, the people in that list were white males, right? Most of the women being assaulted were white women. Right? Where are the masculine white nationalists and MAGA morons to stand up for the precious lily white women who were abused in that epi-pedo scandal? Right? None of them seems to care. Mike Huckabee is saying, hey, man, I haven't really been following this. Why the fuck are you part of the Trump administration talking about justice and draining the swamp? That's the swamp that needs the most draining. The epi-pedo swamp, the kitty swamp. This is grotesque, to say the least.
And he remains here now. And there have been many news stories about this. And I just wonder if you would ask the Israeli government to put him on a plane and send him back to face justice for attempting to molest an American child. It doesn't seem complicated.
No, I wouldn't mind doing that, but I want to find out if the Justice Department of the U.S. has already sought to extradite him. Is there anything in process? I don't know.
Why wouldn't they seek to extradite him?
I have no idea. That's a question for the Justice Department.
I have many questions for the Justice Department, like why are millions of Epstein files still classified? Why do you think that is?
I have no idea. I haven't kept up with that. I've never met the man. I don't know him.
You haven't kept up with...
Nobody said or alluded to the fact that you met him, Mike Huckabee. I found that very interesting that he added that part in there. See how defensive people become about these Epstein files? I don't know. I haven't met the man. Nobody went to that level. And he says he hasn't even kept up with the Epstein files. You mean to tell me you didn't look at this at all? Because he knows that implicates Israel. That's why he's not looking at it. Fake profit.
The Epstein disclosure?
I mean, only from a distance. I'm 6,000 miles away from D.C. these days. I'm pretty sure that there's so much going on.
The current president of Israel, I know you know, President Herzog.
Hold on. He's asking him about the epi-pedo list, and the dude's response is that he's 6,000 miles away?
What the fuck are you talking about?
Bro. If he was 7,000 miles away, he can still track what's going on with the pedo list. This dude is part of the Trump administration. You mean to tell me he has no type of intelligence to pick up a phone call and get the details on this epi-pedo scandal? So he's like, dude, I haven't even been keeping up with it. What the hell have you been keeping up with then? The new Netflix show, right? And if any of y'all got some Netflix show suggestions, drop them in the chat as a side note. What the hell is he keeping up with? Real Housewives of Orange County, if they still have that? This has been a pressing issue for many people that are not even into politics. How could these MAGA maniacs say that they're American first and pro-life, but they don't care about the lives that were tortured, the lives that were assaulted, the lives that were disgustingly violated in that list, right? What is conservative about this? What is Christian or morally righteous about this, right? All of the Bible thumpers, right? But when it comes to protecting those victims in that epi-pedo list, suddenly, people turn a blind eye and it falls on deaf ears. Unfortunately.
So going very well.
Apparently.
Let me pause right here. Sorry to pause so much, but he said that he hasn't kept up with it because he's 6,000 miles away. The Epstein files are online. I'm not in DC. A lot of you watching me are not in DC. So do you see the excuse that he tries to use because he's not physically here? He hasn't kept up with it.
It was at Pedo Island. That's what it says in the disclosures. And of course, we know that the former prime minister, Ehud Barak, was living on and off at Epstein's house. So still living high-level Israeli officials are directly implicated in Epstein's life, if not his crimes. So I would think that you'd be following this.
Only I was not aware that there was any connection with President Herzog. I would be surprised to hear that, and knew there was about the former prime minister, who apparently had a lot of dealings with Epstein.
Business dealings. And by the way, I'm not alleging anything, but I mean, it's in the Epstein files. And I don't know that I've heard the current president of Israel respond to it, but he is listed as a visitor to Pedo Island. So that's kind of a big deal. I wonder, considering there are so many suggestions in the files, as I'm sure you know, of sexual abuse, and given that Jeffrey Epstein was a convicted sex offender, I wonder why the administration you work for would be holding millions of files, which I believe belong to the public, hidden for, quote, national security reasons. What would those national security reasons be, do you think?
Honestly, I think you've probably got more access to the White House sometimes than I do. You should ask them.
Well, but you're the government official representing that White House.
In Israel. And
and Jeffrey Epstein was connected to Israel. So now he's trying to...
How pathetic could Mike Huckabee be? He's representing this administration. He's part of this government, right? And he's saying, hey, Tucker Carlson, you probably got more access to the White House than me. Tucker Carlson isn't part of the Trump administration. He's not appointed ambassador to anything. And Mike Huckabee said, yeah, bro, but I'm in Israel, though. Yeah, you're in Israel, supposed to be representing the U.S. interests. Instead, he's in Israel, bending over and saying MAGA. He wants to make Israel great again, right? But at the same time, none of these people have to register as foreign agents. They're pretending that they're in Israel for America's interests. But then when they talk, all of the defense, all of the capitulation, all of the adulation is for Israel, right? It's quite bizarre that people have allowed this to go on for so long.
Put the blame or the responsibility, not the blame. He's trying to put the responsibility on Tucker Carlson. You got more access than I do, so why don't you talk to them about that? You see how he's trying to pass the buck?
Who's training the new guy? What do you mean he didn't show up?
Managing with Connect Team would be a whole...
This is absolutely embarrassing. Like I said, Tucker Carlson really exposed Mike Huckabee in this. Again, this is the guy that claims to be so Christian.
Represent the U.S. in Israel to the Israeli government from the U.S. government, but honestly, nobody has presented that to us.
Well, now
we have
that
a
you
pretty
know that
dynamic situation here. I don't know if you know that or not, but there's a lot going on in this part of the world, and frankly, that has not been top line item.
But you're surprised to hear that the current president of Israel, whom you know, is listed as a visitor to Pedo Island.
Had never heard that. Never heard it even in the Israeli press.
Of course, you're not going to hear it in the Israeli press. Ehud Barak, by the way, the former prime minister to Israel, Virginia Giuffre, he is mentioned in her book. He was one of the ones that she said was the most violent towards her. It scared her so much she thought she was going to lose her life. Ehud Barak. The same Ehud Barak that was chummy with Noam Chomsky and all these other people. Yeah, according to Virginia Giuffre, she said he was very violent.
Going to ask him next time you see him?
I'll be happy to talk to him almost every week.
I guess what I'm asking is not simply as a representative of my government or a high U.S. official, but just as like a man and a father and a Christian. How could you resist saying, like, were you on Pedo Island with Jeffrey Epstein?
Well, if I'm not aware of it. And secondly, there are a lot of things that go on.
What was funny about that question, right? He asking, like, is it so hard to ask, hey, were you on Pedo Island? Were you engaging in the pedo paradise with the other pedo parasites? And he's, hardy har har. What the fuck was funny about that?
The way the former prime minister to Israel, Virginia Giuffre, he is mentioned in her book. He was one of the ones that she said was the most violent towards her. It scared her so much she thought she was going to lose her life. Ehud Barak, the same Ehud Barak that was chummy with Noam Chomsky and all these other people. Yeah, according to Virginia Giuffre, she said he was very violent.
Going to ask him next time you see him?
I'll be happy to talk to him almost every week.
I guess what I'm asking is not simply as a representative of my government or a high U.S. official, but just as like a man and a father and a Christian. How could you resist saying, like, were you on Pedo Island with Jeffrey Epstein?
Well, if I'm not aware of it. And secondly, there are a lot of things that go on in the world. I don't question every single person.
So this dude is a U.S. ambassador, and for an administration that's always talking about low IQ, DEI, affirmative action, CRT, and wokeness, right? How the hell did he get this job, right? Obviously, that's a rhetorical question. He got the job because of nepotism and that he's a bootlicker, crack licker for Israel. That's why he got this job. Where is the high IQ? It's giving low IQ lunatic.
And all these other people, yeah, according to Virginia Giuffre, she said he was very violent.
Going to ask him next time you see him?
I'll be happy to talk to him almost every week.
I guess what I'm asking is not simply as a representative of my government or a high U.S. official, but just as like a man and a father and a Christian. How could you resist saying, like, were you on Pedo Island with Jeffrey Epstein?
Well, if I'm not aware of it. And secondly, there are a lot of things that go on in the world. I don't question every single person about every single thing that may be alleged about
the country.
I understand all that, but this is the first I've ever heard of this. So why do you expect me to have knowledge of something like that?
Well, because you attacked me personally for suggesting that Jeffrey Epstein had ties to Mossad, and you said that.
You think he does?
What's very clear he does from the files.
You think he does? From where do you get that?
Well, the fact that he was in contact repeatedly with members of the Israeli government, including the current president and the former prime minister and all kinds of Israeli intel-connected people. I'm not saying he worked for Mossad. I don't think we know that. But there's no question that he had extensive contact with CIA.
But I think you said it.
So now he comes in to interrupt. So here's the thing. First, he tells you that he has not been paying attention to the Epstein files. But notice how quickly he goes on defense to defend the fact that Jeffrey Epstein had ties to Israeli intelligence. But he hasn't been keeping up with the files. But he's going to come in and defend that. So that's the bias of Mike Huckabee. Now, all of a sudden, it's, well, I don't care what facts or evidence or whatever that you have. I'm going to come in and defend against it because it's harmful towards Israel.
That's the sound of an American oil company hard at work. Want to be a part of it? Listen up.
Hello. Turning point event. Everybody knows Jeffrey Epstein.
I said everyone thinks, and it turns out everyone was right, that he did have.
I'm not sure everyone was right or everyone thinks.
He's not sure everyone was right or everyone thinks, but he just told you, ladies and gentlemen, he hasn't paid attention to the files. So do you see the bias here with Mike Huckabee? Hasn't looked at this information according to what he just said to Tucker Carlson, but he's out here telling you that can't be the case. So I don't know how Mike Huckabee think he did on this interview, and we're not going to watch the whole thing because it is very long, but it's embarrassing. He actually embarrasses himself.
Okay, but you said that I was lying, and I don't want to make this about me.
I don't think I said you were lying, Tucker. I don't recall.
I'm just saying, why don't we release all the files, and then we don't need to guess?
I got no problem with that. Go ahead.
Would you call on it? Well, because you weighed in on it and said that this was not true, when of course
I said there was no evidence.
Well, there's quite a bit of evidence, but you haven't apparently bothered to read any of the files. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. Ding, ding.
Yeah, so here he is saying that there's no evidence, but he didn't even try to look for the evidence and is saying, oh, there's no evidence. Did you look? Well, no, I didn't look because there's no evidence. Huh? The shit doesn't even make any sense. And he has access to the unredacted files. He has access to all of these various intelligence agencies, whether it be the FBI, CIA, NSA, etc. But suddenly he's not interested in learning about the most notorious pedo ring that has been highly publicized in modern history. He doesn't know anything about that. He hasn't been keeping up with it because he's been too busy having his face of Bibi Netanyahu's booty hole.
I have not read the Epstein files. Apparently you have.
Well, they're on the internet.
But when you say that that everybody knows that Jeffrey Epstein was a Mossad agent.
That everyone believes that.
I don't think everybody does. I don't know.
Well, everyone knows that he had.
He doesn't think they don't. He doesn't think they do, but he also don't know.
Contact with, and by the way, not just Israeli intelligence, American intelligence, which is much more distressing for me. I'm not Israeli, I'm American. I don't want my government having any contact with someone like Jeffrey Epstein. So the shame
I wouldn't either.
Is on the United States, as far as I'm concerned, just to be totally clear about that. Everyone's very sensitive about the Israel connection, not at all sensitive about the US connection, which I find very revealing. We should care about what our government does first, I think. But since you weighed in on it and said there's no evidence, I'm surprised that since that evidence has been open to the public for a month, since you've already weighed in publicly on this question, that you've made no effort to evaluate that evidence. Why is that?
I just told you I was certainly not aware that there were some specific allegations. I knew about the former prime minister, but I don't know him. Not sure I ever met him in my many times. You know, I've been to Israel over 100 times since 1973. The first time I came here was 1973, July. And it's almost 53 years of coming and going to this country. So I know the country well. I know a lot of people here, but I don't know everything and I don't know everybody, but I do know a lot of people.
Of course.
So let's get to the next part, right? So he's basically just a propagandist for Israel.
Yeah, and he's basically a babbling, buffoonish bozo. I've been to Israel. I've been to Israel a bunch of times. I've been to Israel over 100 times. I've been to Israel. I've been coming to Israel about 50 years. What the fuck does that have to do with anything, bro? He's asking you about the disgusting pedos on that epi list. And all he could say is that he's been to Israel over 100 times.
That's what he's really about. We want to get into this part here where they talk about Benjamin Netanyahu and this idea of who is promised the land in Israel. Check this out.
The nub of the question, since again, a lot is at stake, a lot of money is at stake. Land is very valuable. Israel has a lot of resources. By the way, if you're accused of a crime, you can hide here. That's a pretty good passport to have. It's a good thing, right? So who's entitled to it? I don't understand, and you're very discouraged in the United States from asking this question for some reason. It's a totally...
Tucker Carlson is like a master of throwing in these passive-aggressive digs in the form of a question as a statement, and he forms it in a way that's plausible, or what they say, plausible deniability. No, I didn't mean it like that, bro. Just chill out. Why are you getting triggered? You know what I mean? Did I hurt your fifis? Are you a snowflake? It's like, bro, you said that to be intentionally condescending. And then when you call him out for it, it will be framed as if, you know, you're just too fragile. But, you know, as much as I don't agree with the bigotry of Tucker Carlson, the dude is, you know, he is a bright dude when he wants to be. But he just pretends to play dumb on a lot of things as well.
Time since 1973. The first time I came here was 1973, July. And it's almost 53 years of coming and going to this country. So I know the country well. I know a lot of people here. But I don't know everything. And I don't know everybody. But I do know a lot of people.
Of course.
So let's get to the next part, right? So he's basically just a propagandist for Israel. That's what he's really about. We want to get into this part here where they talk about Benjamin Netanyahu and this idea of who is promised the land in Israel. Check
The
this
nub
out.
of the question, since again, a lot is at stake, a lot of money is at stake. Land is very valuable. Israel has a lot of resources. By the way, if you're accused of a crime, you can hide here. That's a pretty good passport to have. It's a good thing, right? So who's entitled to it? I don't understand.
And before we proceed, it looks like we got at least like 70 people in the building right now. Salute to y'all. Y'all could have been anywhere. Y'all chose to be here with me, at least momentarily. And for that, I thank you. However, the likes are not matching the viewership. I don't know how many likes I have right now, but I know that I don't have 80 likes, right? So at least could we get the likes up? It won't cost you a fee. The likes are free.
Yeah, look at him now. Came up from the mud, now there ain't no dirt under his shoes. No dirt under his shoes. Ascended to the top, yeah, he's really that dude. He's really that dude. He's really that dude. Ascended to the top, he's really that dude. Really, really, really that dude.
Thank you. Hit the like for your boy.
And you're very discouraged in the United States from asking this question for some reason. It's a totally rational.
No, I'm not
question.
discouraged.
No, you're not discouraging.
Yeah.
Me. Others do. You're like the only person I can have this conversation with. Everyone else will be like, shut up, Nazi. It's a foundational question. Are you speaking of an ethnic group or a religious group?
Well, I think you're looking at, for many people, it is religious. There are people who may not have a deep religious connection to Judaism, but they're still Jews.
Okay, so it's an ethnic category.
It is ethnic, but it is also religious. It is rooted in religion. You can't take it out of it. Now, that means
then how can an atheist?
Well, I will tell you this. There are some people who say, I'm Christian. They never go to church. They never pray. They never read their Bible. They don't tithe.
But they're not entitled to citizenship on the basis of that.
Well,
They're
but
not
I'm saying
entitled
they still call themselves Christian, even though they identify in that way.
Pause. Let me call him out for this one. He's trying to compare someone who is ethnically Jewish that doesn't practice Judaism to someone who is Christian but doesn't go to church. These are not the same things, right? And then there's the atheist part, because you can be ethnically Jewish and not support Judaism or any religion. You can be ethnically Jewish and be an atheist. But this comparison that he makes to Christians not going to church, that's not the same thing. You can still be a Christian and not go to church. Just because you're not going to church doesn't mean you're not, at home reading your Bible or, saying praying at home, those types of things. So the church isn't, in my view, the church isn't defined by a building with the steeple.
No, the church is actually the people, right? You can hold church on the water. You can have a campfire of people surrounded by it and hold church. And this is the confusion where people think that the church is only the building structure.
The church is supposed to be within you if you're a Christian. So,
and not only that, when people talk about the religion of Judaism being an ethnicity, right? And then he compares it to Christianity. What Christian ethnicity is there? Could someone let me know?
no matter if you're going to that building or not, if you're still reading your scripture, if you're still praying, etc., then you're still a Christian. Christianity is not an ethnicity. So now Mike Huckabee is trying to conflate being ethnically Jewish with being ethnically Christian, which there is no such thing as being ethnically Christian. So do you see how he just walks right into this? This is probably the most exposing part of this interview. So you can't, and that's why I said you can't have it both ways. On the basis of religion, Israel is not Israel is.
But people don't try to have it both ways. People try to have it 3 or 4 ways because they'll say that, you know, Judaism is a religious, but also it's an ethnicity. And then some will say it's not only an ethnicity, it's a race. But there's no race called Jewish. And then when you clearly identify there's no race called Jewish, so what race of people are those people? And then it becomes a circular argument when they say that it is a race. Okay, fine, it is a race. Most of the prominent Jews in America, they have enough power, influence, acumen, and wealth to get Jewish listed on the census as a race. Why is there no box to check for a Jewish race on the U.S. Census? That's because it's not a race. And then when we clearly define that it's not a race, and then we point out, hey, what race is Rabbi Shmuley? What race is Ben Shapiro? Then it turns back into the circular argument as well. Then there's Asians, Latinos, and Black people that convert to Judaism. When they convert to Judaism, is a Black Jew the same race as Ben Shapiro, Jon Stewart, and Bernie Sanders? If not, what is the difference?
It's a secular state. Benjamin Netanyahu is not religious. So then that's when you go to okay, well, it's also for people who are ethnically Jewish. Okay, but to Tucker Carlson's point, there isn't a place where you are granted citizenship because you are a Christian. Do you see the problem?
Losing your hair? Tired of hiding and looking older than you really are? With Bosley, you can get your real hair back.
Here's the difference. You're saying that people who have this identification have a deed to a huge chunk of land on the Mediterranean. Okay. So there's, it's a right. You keep telling me it's a right. And so it's totally fair to say, if you come to my house and say, I've got the title to your house, I get to ask, may I see it? Where'd you get it? And that's exactly what happened here. People from Europe, Eastern Europe came here, in a lot of cases, atheists, and kicked out a lot of people who lived here.
Land.
Well, but
they did not just throw people out.
They bought a lot of land. There's no question about that.
They did buy a lot of land.
But they also...
In order to buy that land, though, they also displaced people. So now he's trying to whitewash history. Yeah, they kicked people out. They slaughtered.
Yeah, they bought land that was under an unauthorized sale. So there were some Jewish Zionists that would displace and dispossess people's property and say, hey, bro, I got some property to sell you in Israel. But it's like that wasn't your property to give and sell away.
People. It's not like it was a peaceful process. And forget everything that you've been told about how Thanksgiving apparently went down. European.
So it looks like I've been joined by a guest. My bad, BT. I didn't even see you in the back. And last call says that wasn't for sale. No, it wasn't for sale. They came over there and said, I'm going to offer you, I'm going to give you an offer you can't refuse, with a gun stuck in their face. You know what I mean? So no. But BT, is that really you?
Yes, it is. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Shout out to BT, came through in the building. So before I proceed, was there how long have you been watching the stream?
Well, I wanted to address the pedophilia talk from Tucker.
Okay.
The reason I wanted to just rewind to that part, that's where I started watching the show a little bit while I was finishing.
Okay, let me try to find that part.
I think it's a little unfair for him to do.
It's one of them.
When he doesn't even address the problems we have in the same subject matter. And you kind of addressed it in the show. It's really easy. This is another finger pointing where we've talked about before. It's it's the Jews, but he's never addressed anything that the regular white Christian population has done, whether it's mass shootings or procuring young girls and sex trafficking or pedophilia. If you're not talking about those things, you're just weaponizing a topic that had actually been discussed in the Jewish community. So the Jewish community did the report, did the story.
Correct. Did you see that story that I played?
You're weaponizing it for years later for your own message about anti-Israel. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, obviously, you know my feelings. I've been against a lot of the Israeli principles of what's going on over there, but at the same time, is just deflecting. And other people, you know, people in my community, you know, basically the white Christian population, everybody else in between, is, oh, well, yeah, that's what we should be looking at without ignoring our issues. And that's what I have a major problem with, as far as Tucker, you know, and I'm starting to see this, it's just profiteering off being opposite of what Trump or anybody else is. And nothing I'm seeing is genuine as far as the principles and what they're talking about. And when you know, all the messengers are still anti-black anyway. So whether it be Tucker, Marjorie Taylor Greene, or anybody else,
Nick Fuentes.
Yeah, okay, you've made these good points or something on this topic, but then you don't do anything to help out as far as racial relations on the other side. Am I making sense? I don't want to ramble on your show.
Yeah, no. First of all, could you hear me? BT, could you hear me?
B, are you there?
Yeah, could you hear me, BT? Yeah, hold on. I don't think BT could hear me. So, bro, I'm gonna drop you and then just try to come back because I don't think that he heard me.
On the stream?
So yeah, no, I agree with what you were saying, BT. I just had to drop you in the back just so that you can hear me. For some reason, I guess you didn't hear me. But yeah, I agree with BT. What he is saying is that Tucker likes to do this a lot. He'll call out other foreign nations, foreign entities. He'll call out the Jews, you know what I mean, or Israelis. But then when it comes time to the white Christian community who he's a part of, suddenly Tucker has no smoke, right? I have no issues with him calling out some Jewish people engaging in pedo proclivities, but he is kind of being, you know, not as abrasive with his language when it comes to the pedos that the American non-Jewish pedos that are in the epi-pedo list. So I'm trying to bring BT back up and see if he can hear me. BT, could you hear me? Are you there, BT? So I guess BT cannot hear me. So let me pull him back down. I'll play some more of the video. Hold up. And I'm going to fast forward a little bit more.
In Qatar, for example, except those who live in the
Israel proper? Or are you counting?
Talking about
Enemies and friends, they said, get the fuck out. This land belongs.
a lot of land.
But they also
Isn't a place where you are granted citizenship because you are a Christian. Do you see the problem?
Here's the difference. You're saying that people who have this identification have a deed to a huge chunk of land on the Mediterranean. Okay, so there's, you know, it's a right. You keep telling me it's a right, and so it's totally fair to say if you come to my house and say I've got the title to your house, I get to ask, may I see it? Where'd you get it? And that's exactly what happened here. People from Europe, Eastern Europe, came here. In a lot of cases, atheists, and kicked out a lot of people who lived here.
Land.
Well, but
they did not just throw people out.
They bought a lot of land. There's no question about that.
They did buy a lot of land.
But they also,
in order to buy that land, though, they also displaced people. So now he's trying to whitewash history. Yeah, they kicked people out. They slaughtered people. It's not like it was a peaceful process. And forget everything that you've been told about how Thanksgiving apparently went down. Europeans came to the U.S. and slaughtered indigenous people here. The story they tell you was that, they came together and it was so peaceful and they decided to break bread together on Thanksgiving. They slaughtered indigenous people here in this country. The Trail of Tears is a...
BT, could you hear me?
I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I heard you the first time. It just apparently you didn't hear me. But I had concurred with what you were saying in terms of Tucker Carlson and many other people who try to say it's the Jew. You know what I mean? Those type of people. Yeah. And they say that they're America first. But then when it comes to uniting with the foundational Black American freedmen, many of them are bigots, including the most people who they think he's good on war. Dave Smith said some anti-Black stuff, saying he doesn't want to live next to Black people, co-signing people, calling us niggers, etc. Tim Pool, Nick Fuentes, Patrick Bet-David, Sosnick, Cenk Uygur. Like, you can just name people, even the people that's supposed to be on the right, left, or whatever. Many of them are all the same. You know what I mean? So yeah, there is a hypocrisy. Now, for me, I don't support Tucker because I know that he's an anti-Black bigot. However, the dude is not a dummy, right? So it does make some of the antics that he does much more egregious because he is highly sophisticated, born with a silver spoon, Nepo baby, high IQ and all this stuff. So if his IQ was this high, many of these things that are very rudimentary, he should have already figured out. So either he did figure it out and he's just playing dumb, which is lying and obfuscation, or his IQ is not as high as he purports it to be, which means we need to call that out as well. So either his IQ is super high and he's playing dumb, or he's not as smart as he appears to be. You know what I mean? Which one is it? There's nowhere in between. What his IQ is medium, he's medium smart. No, this dude is wealthy and smart, so he knows better than anyone else, right? They can blame some poor, powerless, low IQ thug from Chicago or St. Louis, right? But you said all of those descriptors. He was poor. He was low IQ. He came from a fatherless home. He came from a troubled background. You can't say that about Mike Huckabee. You can't say that about Tucker Carlson or any of these other MAGA morons and these liberal lunatics. Many of these people come from money and wealth. So they should be able to decipher all of these things going on. They should be the ones beating the drum, talking about their pro-life and calling out the pedo list, right? And even the Democrats, when Biden was in office, he was tight-lipped and didn't want to release anything in the pedo list. And now the Democrats are just saying, release the files, release the files. Okay, I think even releasing the files is overblown because when they release it, they already have the names. They already have the information. Everything they release is redacted and a bunch of speculation and controversial stuff, right? Okay, Jeffrey Epstein was calling Black people niggers. Newsflash, shocker. Is anyone shocked by that, right? What revelation or epiphany is coming from that? It's just more inflammatory news cycles where people could just say, oh, he hated Black people and he hunted down Black people. He did and said a lot of anti-Black stuff, right? But we expect that. But we didn't expect for those lily white victims to not receive justice because he didn't want any Black women. So those victims, those beautiful victims, were young white women, some being trafficked, some being assaulted and abused, right? And Tucker Carlson is acting like he's a bleeding heart and he's railing against pedos, but he's only railing against the pedos that flee to Israel. There's a bunch of pedos in that epi-pedo list that don't have to flee to Israel because their names are redacted in many of the files that release to big players. They've already been destroyed. If people allege that Jeffrey didn't off himself in the prison, right? Anyone that has the power and the reach to get someone offed like that in the prison, allegedly, they have the power to ensure that their names never see the light of day, right? All of the files that they release, what meat and potatoes do you really have? All you have is controversial issues, topics, emails, and speculation. You can speculate what was said or done, right? But there's nothing definitive, because all of the definitive things, those files have been destroyed and or redacted. I haven't heard Tucker and many of these other maniacs that were pushing for transparency in unredacted files. He's just kind of pointing the fingers at other people. And I think he's right to point the finger in many instances. I'm just saying you got to keep that same energy. Did you have anything else to add, BT, before I play the video?
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. What I find funny is the same people that, like Tucker and Marjorie Taylor Greene, that weaponized the wackadoodle MAGA ultra-right people that actually were calling in on the FBI call logs and making up stories about Epstein, are now, they're the people that they're now defending and trying to backtrack through and to prove that these stories that were many, all of them were investigated and proven false. Now they are stomping for them, and all they were is the crazy Pizzagators and bigots and the racists that they created for their voting bases. Not all of their bases are like that, but a good sized chunk are. And now you're doing your whole career and shtick about promoting those ideas. So I'll finish up with that. We can move on to the next topic if you got another topic or you want to continue with the video.
A real thing. Similar situation to Israel, where these Europeans moved there and slaughtered and killed Palestinians. They didn't say, hey, let's all hang out and be homies and friends. They said, get the fuck out. This land belongs to us now. It's colonialism. So now all of a sudden, Mike Huckabee is trying to whitewash history.
In 1948, movement kicked out a lot of people
in the war.
Oh, it was a war. I agree. Yeah. I'm not want to relitigate the history. I'm just saying it's a fact.
Okay.
Including a lot of Christians wound up fleeing, and they lost their homes and they've never been allowed back. And all of this was justified on the basis of this identity that is the ticket to the right that you keep referring to. So my question is very simple. I'm going to wait patiently for an answer. Does this right derive from religious affiliation or from genetics?
And I would say it's both. But I would also
see,
can I add something?
That's the kicker right there. So do you see what they do? They say it's both. So now, and this is what I was saying about the supremacy. No, it is not just about religion, because a lot of the people that live in Israel are not religious. So now they're owed this land because of ethnicity. How is that not apartheid? When you see what is happening in Israel, when you see that they section off certain places where Palestinian people, the ones who do still reside in Israel, when you see that they have to have a separate passport, they can't take certain roads. How is that not apartheid? It is apartheid. This is just colonialism in a different region.
And she's right about that. So since BT is here, I did have some more of the video to play, but I'm going to revisit the video because I want to transition a little bit just so I can get BT to chime in on this other topic. And of course, this does tie back to Israel also. And this is going to be a discussion with Lindsey Graham sitting down with the MS Now host. And he's going to be talking about the war that's over there ensuing in the Middle East. So for everyone that's viewing this live concurrently and the replay gang, make sure that you hit the like button for your boy. Like, share, and subscribe.
B-Eazy Dat Dude.
Republican Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina. Senator Graham, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me on such a historic day.
Thank you for being here on an historic morning, Senator. Let me start with the big question. Is the United States at war with Iran?
So just to be clear, this video was from a couple days ago. Many of the things, with the war has escalated, but I just want to break down so we can see some of the mainstream propaganda and we can decipher it.
I think the Ayatollah would say, yeah. I don't know if this is technically a war, but here's what I can say the headline is for me Sunday. The mothership of terrorism is sinking.
So this is why people don't really like politicians. He's over here. It's clear that it's a war. Trump called it a war. They committed war crimes. And then Lindsey Graham, loser Graham, is up here saying, oh, well, we don't really know if it's a war. You committed war crimes. I mean, come on now. This is like child's play, really.
I would say, yeah. I don't know if this is technically a war, but here's what I can say the headline is for me Sunday. The mothership of terrorism is sinking. The captain is dead. The largest state sponsor of terrorism, Iran, is close to collapsing. The leader of the largest.
So remember that term, state-sponsored terrorism. I said it on another stream. They're going to use it as if it's like a tongue twister. Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers, right? State-sponsored terrorism. Try to say that 3 times fast.
State sponsor of terrorism and his inner team are dead. The mothership that fuels the proxies is in sinking mode. The goal of this operation is to change the threat, not the regime. When this operation is over, no matter who takes over in Iran, they will not have ballistic missiles to hurt us, Israel, or the region. They will not have the capability to be the largest state sponsor of terrorism, whether it's a cleric or a group of representative of the country where there's an election. It doesn't matter right now. Iran in the future will no longer be the largest state sponsor of terrorism. They cannot rain terror on the region. They cannot commit mass murder.
This I do agree with him. Iran won't be the leader of alleged state-sponsored terrorism because Israel has took that mantle from what they're doing in Gaza. You know what I mean? So, yeah, when you talk about Iran, no one is trying to act like they're just this benevolent, angelic regime, but to pretend as if they're just some sort of barbaric regime that no one has ever seen before, right? Are the Iranians more or less ruthless than the North Koreans? Are they more or less ruthless than the Israelis? Are they more or less ruthless than the Americans? I know George Bush presided over 1 million dead Iraqis. Could we say that about Iran?
That's the goal of this operation. Again, the mothership of terrorism is sinking. The captain is dead. Well done, President Trump. It's been the policy of this country for decades to eliminate this regime. President Trump did.
Correct. They keep trying to buffer up the Shah of Iran because he is a known puppet leader, but this is not America first, and this doesn't help us, right? I get it. People try to say that this makes us safer. How does bombing these other countries make us safer? What they're essentially saying is us destabilizing these other countries in favor of the greater Israel project makes us safer. But we got bigger fish to fry. We got to take care of things at home. And this is depleting many of our munitions as well. So this isn't about hatred for Israel or love for Iran or anything like that. I truly am America first. I'm not an isolationist. I believe that we could help mitigate some of these conflicts. I believe that we could help enrich some of these other countries, but we can't do it at the expense of our own citizens. We have people starving here, hundreds of thousands of homeless people, people that don't have health care. But then you look at a place like Israel, Canada, Denmark, and other people that do have universal health care for their peoples. They have longer life expectancies based on certain metrics. Some say they have a better quality of life. If this is supposed to be the greatest nation ever known to man, we need to be working to preserve that and not let this country fall to sugar honey iced tea based on engaging in these genocidal, idiotic, imbecilic wars just to serve the interests of these oligarchs and plutocrats who wouldn't even send their kids to war. Do you think Baron Trump is going to go fight in any wars? Do you think Elon Musk is going to go fight in any wars? Do you think Tucker Carlson's children are going to go fight in any wars? So whose children are they going to be sending fighting in these pointless wars to say that they're preserving America's interests, but then they can't truly tell you what those interests are? Oh, we help stop state-sponsored terrorism, right? Nobody was at threat of what's going to happen to Iran. When people are making these tropes about George Floyd and other black people, they say, what about Chicago? They don't say, what about Tehran?
It. Admiral Cooper came out with a military plan that's unbelievable. We're not done yet, but when it is done, Iran will no longer be capable of being the largest state sponsor of terrorism. That is the goal, and that goal will be achieved.
Senator, let me ask you, because as you are saying, the leader, the Ayatollah supreme leader is dead. Will the United States pick the next leader of Iran, or will the Iranian people pick the next leader?
I talked to the Crown Prince. He's got some ideas about transition. There will be no American boots on the ground. This is not Iraq. This is not Germany. This is not Japan. We're going to free the people up from it.
But that's also misleading when he's saying there will be no American boots on the ground, but there's American aircraft flying over there. There's already American boots on the ground in the Middle East. There's over 750 military bases for the U.S. globally. So the whole there will be no boots on the ground, he's just lying, because they're stationed in other places that are, staged for a proxy attack. And they are in proximity to where if they do need to deploy boots on the ground, they have them there. So he's lying and saying that. And he's saying there's no boots on the ground because they're attacking many people by aircraft.
A terrorist regime. And the goal is not only to help the Iranian people to chart a new destiny, to make sure no matter who takes over in Iran, no matter who it is, no matter who the people pick, they cannot become the largest state sponsor of terrorism. They can't fuel Hezbollah, the Houthis, and Hamas. They can't have ballistic missiles. They can't have a nuclear weapon. They will be out of the terrorism business. So the people will pick.
So they can't have ballistic weapons. They can't have nuclear weapons, but Israel can. Oh, Israel, because it's the only democracy in the Middle East where there's people like Scott Ritter, people like Max Blumenthal. And I'm not saying I like these guys or believe everything that they say, but these dudes do extensive research and do have some level of acumen in these fields, right? They're saying that Israel is the state sponsor of terrorism, not Iran.
Not become the largest state sponsor of terrorism. They can't fuel Hezbollah, the Houthis, and Hamas. They can't have ballistic.
And not only that, Israel was funding Hamas as well. This is not no propaganda. This is not anti-Semitic. Don't take my word for it. Look it up. Bibi Netanyahu funded Hamas because he wanted Hamas to attack them so that they can say, oh, look, we're victims, and look, we are the only democracy in the Middle East, and we need to push from the river to the sea. This is in their Likud charter. So as much as they try to say that globalize the Intifada as some anti-Semitic trope that wants to wipe out the Jews, many people in the Knesset in these Likud parties are just flat out saying that with the Greater Israel Project, that's Syria, Jordan, all of these other places and stuff. These people have said this with their chest. So, this isn't about Iran. This is about destabilizing other Middle Eastern powers to prop up Israel. You know what I mean? And this, this is really, when you say state sponsored, this is what the U.S. wants. Joe Biden said it. If there wasn't an Israel, we would create one. And that's what they did in 1948.
Japan. We're going to free the people up from a terrorist regime. And the goal is not only to help the Iranian people to chart a new destiny, to make sure no matter who takes over in Iran, no matter who.
And shout out to FBA Strong. You're late, but better late than never. So salute to FBA. Excuse me. Salute to FBA Strong 8815 in building.
Who it is, no matter who the people pick, they cannot become the largest state sponsor of terrorism. They can't fuel Hezbollah, the Houthis, and Hamas. They can't have ballistic missiles. They can't have a nuclear weapon. They will be out of the terrorism business. So the people will pick. As to the people, choose wisely. We want to be your friend. We'd like to have a good relationship with you going forward, but that is up to you. Now, what am I going to do next? When this regime...
Do you hear this guy? We want to have a good relationship with you going forward, but we've assassinated 2 of your top leaders. But bro, we only assassinated those leaders because we want to build a good relationship with you, right? Imagine if they assassinated J.D. Vance and Nancy Pelosi. Those are the high level equivalents that they assassinated for the Iranian leaders. But they try to convince you, oh, they were responsible for thousands of American deaths. Okay, when and where? Just look it up. Trust me, bro. Right? But you can verify the drone strikes with a 90% civilian casualty rate by the U.S. When they killed their second in command, I believe, there were a bunch of civilians around there too, but they thought it was an existential threat. So if bin Laden is at a mall and they like, man, this is the only time we can get them, they're going to level the mall, right? And are they going to tell you about all of those civilians that they killed? No. This is Trump. This is Obama. This is Bush, because both parties are the same. They're beholden to their donors, who are genocidal, warmongering whack jobs.
Can no longer threaten the region. I'm going to build on what I did with President Biden to try to get Saudi Arabia and Israel to normalize. If the fall of this regime would lead to normalization between Saudi Arabia and Israel, the center of gravity for Islam is Saudi Arabia, the one and only Jewish state. If they could make peace and have a normal relationship because this regime fell, it would be historic. Taking the regime down is a big deal. Normalization between Saudi Arabia and Israel is a historic deal. That's where I'm going to spend my time and energy. To President Trump, you did something everybody talked about. You took Maduro down. Everybody talked about it. You did it. You took the Ayatollah down. Again, the goal of this operation is to make sure there will never be in Iran a state sponsor of terrorism to rain havoc on us and the region. That's the goal. I hope the people will choose wisely.
Senator, history tells us just how
they were normalizing. They were normalizing relationships.
Hussein was ousted and a terror threat and group moved in. How will the United States make sure that the next Iranian government isn't worse than the current regime?
It's not our job to pick the next Iranian government. I don't remember being attacked by Iraq anytime, in the past. Iraq is complicated, but we have a relationship with Iraq. It's up to Iran to pick your leader. It's not my job. It's not President Trump's job. We're not going to occupy the country. We're going.
This dude sounds idiotic. He's saying it's up to Iran to pick your leader. We assassinated your leader. Now it's up to you to pick your leader. They already picked a leader and you assassinated. They picked 2 leaders and you assassinated them. So here he is trying to pretend that, hey, the U.S., look, we don't want to pick the Iranian leader. They're a sovereign nation. Let them pick their leader. Then they pick a leader and say, we can't have them as a leader, so we have to assassinate them. No, but look, we let you pick.
Give the people of Iran a chance to do something they've never had before, chart their own destiny. We're going to take away from any future regime the ability, any future.
How the fuck are they going to chart their own destiny when they got Big Brother always looming in the background? How are they charting their own destiny when they're being spied by Israelis and being assisted by the U.S. government to help to stabilize them. And then they said, look, we've destroyed. They were alleging that Iran is trying to make a nuke, even though there were no proof, right? And then they said, look, we've destroyed their capacity to make a nuke. This is what they've said months ago, right? There's no way they can make a nuke because we've destroyed their capacity. Now they're whining and said, look, we had to assassinate the leader because they were going to make a nuke. Y'all said y'all destroyed their nuclear facility and y'all assassinated their nuclear scientists. So where is the nuke coming from? They're not even enriching, right? But with the Israel, right? Israel has nukes and they're lying about it. It's kind of like an open secret. People know that they have nukes, but they just won't admit to it. You know what I mean? So
they were days away.
What was that?
They were days away. That's what we were told, right?
Yeah, that's what we were told. They were days away, and let's take that at face value. They were days away, but then they said they were days away, but then they said they destroyed the facility, and this is what the U.S. reported. They said they destroyed the facility that would set them back decades. When you kill a nuclear scientist, many of those scientists are well past 50. You know what I mean? The supreme leader was 86, right? So these aren't spring chickens that are getting assassinated. These are people that are up in age, that have a certain level of intellect, knowledge, and acumen, right? So right now, if somebody was just a airline mechanic, right, and that person gets assassinated, you can't just find any Joe Schmo off the street to be a highly sophisticated engineer or scientist. So it's alleged that they wiped out the scientists. It's alleged that they wiped out all of his, the people in his cabinet. It's alleged that they wiped out any capacity to create a nuclear weapon because they were days away. And this was all prior to the war crimes, right? And now they're saying, look, we had to invade. Oh, we didn't have boots on the ground. We just flew our planes over there to bomb them to smithereens. You know what I mean? But we had to do this so Iran could pick their leader. But they already picked a leader, right? So all of these contradictions, and people are trying to frame it as, yeah, it's good that he's gone because he terrorized Americans. It's like, dude, you didn't even know this dude's name until they killed him. No one was at threat. Like, who's seriously at threat, right? A black dude from Chicago living in the hood by some gangsters, right? Should he be more afraid of the gangsters or someone in Iran, right? Some hillbillies in the trailer park that's fighting with each other over a meth pipe, right? Should they be more worried about each other or the Ayatollah in Iran, right? And this is kind of back to like the Tucker Carlson thing that you brought up, right? How Tucker will call out the pedo activities in foreign nations, but he'll be kind of silent and mum on the same things that are happening here. You know what I mean?
Government the ability to have a ballistic missile program, a nuclear program, or support terrorism. That's what we're going to do. And if out of this comes a new government that it's not our job to pick the next Iranian government. I don't remember being attacked by Iraq anytime, in the past. Iraq is complicated, but, we have a relationship with Iraq. It's up to Iran.
Yeah, this is kind of where I'm at with it. FBA Strong says, so what if they're making a nuke? Who are these MFs to think that they can tell someone else how to defend themselves while threatening them at the same time? And that's what they did. They put out a gun and said, y'all better not make a nuke and y'all better not have no ballistic missiles or we're going to slaughter you. And then they slaughter people and then people retaliate. And then they're saying they're attacking us because we're Jews. It's like, no, that's not why they're attacking you. And they're not attacking Jews. They're attacking an opposition. If another Arab nation attacks them, which Iran is attacking Qatar right now, not because they're Arabs, not because they're Muslim, even though there is the whole Sunni and Shiite thing as well. They're attacking them because they're going against their allied interests. Groups don't have allies. They have interests. But one thing about North Korea, No one thinks in terms of the level of intelligence gathering and even some weapons, right? People don't think that North Korea has the same firepower as Israel, right? But why is people not talking about invading North Korea? Why? Because Kim Jong-un is considered to be batshit crazy. And guess what? He has some nukes. And he's saying, look, hey, I'll sink with the ship. Don't play with me like that. I'll flick the button and push the button. So people is like, yeah, we don't really want smoke with Kim Jong-un like that, right? North Korea pales in comparison in terms of military might and capacity with the U.S. However, the U.S. knows that, yeah, we would win in North Korea, but it would be catastrophic casualties because they believe that North Korea has no issues using a nuke. So if you do want to protect your country and your sovereignty, you got to get a nuke. Period, point blank. Doesn't mean that you're going to use it, but you do need one to fend off many of these genocidal maniacs, these colonial powers as well, right? I don't think we need to be the world's police. I don't think we need to be funding people going over to destabilize other countries to have Western expansion or the Greater Israel Project. I don't support any of that stuff. That's not America first, and it's not in our interest. Even if they want to try to say, oh, we need the oil and all this stuff. Yeah, we don't need to slaughter innocent people and starve people out to get some oil or to try to make Gaza a Riviera in the Middle East, like Trump said. I can't support that.
To pick your leader. It's not my job. It's not President Trump's job. We're not going to occupy the country. We're going to give the people of Iran a chance to do something they've never had before, chart their own destiny. We're going to take away from any future regime the ability, any future government, the ability to have a ballistic missile program, a nuclear program, or support terrorism. That's what we're going to do. And if out of this comes a new government that we can do business with, great. But having Iran no longer the state sponsor of terrorism opens up historic opportunities. It's the one irritant in the region. It's the one impediment to real peace. We'll never get to where we want to go as long as Iran is the largest state sponsor of terrorism. And I'm here to tell you, the largest state sponsor of terrorism, the mothership of terrorism, is sinking and the captain is dead, and a lot of good.
Here we go again with these buzzwords and bumper sticker. State-sponsored terrorism. How many times have he said that, right? When the country that he's bootlicking for is the true state sponsor of terrorism, right? What genocide is Iran accused of committing? You can point to a current active genocide that Israel is committing. So who is the true state sponsor of terrorism?
But having Iran no longer the state sponsor of terrorism opens up historic opportunities. It's the one irritant in the region. It's the one impediment to real peace. We'll never get to where we want to go as long as Iran is the largest state sponsor of terrorism. And I'm here to tell you, the largest state sponsor of terrorism, the mothership of terrorism, is sinking and the captain is dead, and a lot of good things.
So hold on. So he said, we'll never get to where we want to go. Huh?
Who is we? Who is we?
Opportunities. It's the one irritant in the region. It's the one impediment to real peace. We'll never get to where we want to go as long as Iran is the largest state sponsor of terrorism. And I'm here to tell you, the largest state sponsor of terrorism, the mothership of terrorism, is sinking and the captain is dead, and a lot of good things are going to follow.
Senator, let's talk about the strategy moving forward. In a social media post Sunday, President Trump wrote this, quote, hopefully the IRGC and police will peacefully merge with the Iranian patriots and work together as a unit to bring back the country to the greatness it deserves. Is hope the plan for the future of Iran?
No, the future of Iran is going to be determined by the Iranian people. The new Iran.
Here we go again with the backwards, both sides, bozo babble, right? He said that the future of Iran will be chosen by the Iranian people. They've already chose who they wanted to lead them. They've chosen it over and over and over again. And guess what? The U.S. says, look, you're a sovereign nation. You can choose your own leader. They choose their own leader and they say, we don't like your leader. We want to assassinate them, right? There's many people that didn't like Mike Pence. There's many people that didn't like Biden, Kamala Harris, many people that didn't like George W., right? Are they able to assassinate our president and say, here, we'll assassinate your president, but look, it's up to the American people to choose who they want. They did choose who they want, whether it's Biden, Obama, Trump, or whatever. The people chose who they wanted, right? So why couldn't some other nation just come and assassinate our president because they don't like him, right? There's a lot of things to dislike about Biden and Obama and Trump, right? Since we've already opened the door for regime change, coup d'etats, and puppet leaders, why can't someone assassinate the U.S. president, hypothetically, theoretically, satirically, facetiously, just so we're clear, right? Isn't that what Lindsey Graham is calling for? It's cool when they do it in Iran, but like, okay, let's get back into it.
Together as a unit to bring back the country to the greatness it deserves. Is hope the plan for the future of Iran?
No, the future of Iran is going to be determined by the Iranian people. The new Iran, whatever it is, whether it's a cleric or a representative democracy, our goal is to make sure it cannot become, again, the largest state sponsor of terrorism. That's a win for us.
But is there a plan to make sure that happens, Senator? Is there a plan? Does the president have a plan to guarantee that that happens?
No, it's not his job or my job to do this. How many times do I have to tell you? Our job is to make sure Iran is no longer.
It wasn't your job to assassinate the Ayatollah either, but yet you still did it. He's trying to say it's not our job to pick their leader, but it wasn't our job to assassinate them. So they assassinate the leader and say, hey, it's not our job to pick y'all leader. It's up to y'all to pick y'all leader. They've already picked one. Yeah, the same one that you assassinated.
Sure that happens, Senator? Is there a plan? Does the president have a plan to guarantee that that happens?
No, it's not his job or my job to do this. How many times do I have to tell you? Our job is to make sure Iran is no longer the largest state sponsor of terrorism, to help the people reconstruct a new government, no boots on the ground. We don't own, this idea you break it, you own it. I don't buy that one bit. It's in America's interest to make sure the Ayatollah is dead. He's dead. It's in America's interest to make sure that.
So he's saying it's in our interest to make sure that the Iranian Ayatollah is dead. Okay, cool. He's dead. Has that lowered gas cost? Some people are saying that it's going to make gas costs skyrocket. So how did that help you? Right now, if you're trying to buy a house, this Iranian leader is dead. Is that helping you afford a house? Is that helping you with interest rates? Many people don't have health care. Is the Iranian leader being assassinated helping you with that? Some people are incels and can't even find a girl to love. But hey, they assassinated the Iranian leader. So maybe you won't be an incel anymore and you don't have to circle jerk in a corner watching OnlyFans, right? The food, right? The groceries, are the groceries going down because the Iranian leader was assassinated? Used cars. You can't afford a new car, but are used car prices going down since the Iranian leader was assassinated? Are more people having babies, like Tucker and Elon Musk always like to say, and JD Vance? We need more white babies. Do you think a bunch of white babies are going to be conceived because this Iranian leader was assassinated? What the fuck is Lindsey Graham talking about?
Sure that happens, Senator? Is there a plan? Does the president have a plan to guarantee that that happens?
No, it's not his job or my job to do this. How many times do I have to tell you? Our job is to make sure Iran is no longer the largest state sponsor of terrorism, to help the people reconstruct a new government.
And I also want to give a shout out to Tara Sanchez. Hola, amigo. Or amiga, como esta?
No boots on the ground. We don't own, you know, this idea you break it, you own it. I don't buy that one bit. It's in America's interest to make sure the Ayatollah is dead. He's dead. It's in America's interest to make sure that Iran can no longer be the largest state sponsor of terrorism. We're close. Once the people decide what they want to do next, I don't mind helping them. But I know what they're not going to be allowed to do next: regenerate the largest state sponsor of terrorism.
Do y'all hear this guy? He said once the people, it's up to the Iranian people to choose who they want. It's not up to the U.S. Then the U.S. assassinates their leader and say, hey, we killed y'all leader, but now choose who y'all want to lead y'all, right? It's not up to us. And then if they choose someone who they don't like, then what? They're going to try to assassinate him again and then say, no, we want y'all to pick y'all leader.
Or be the largest state sponsor of terrorism. We're close. Once the people decide what they want to do next, I don't mind helping them. But I know what they're not going to be.
So then he says he doesn't mind helping them. But remember, once they seized and stole money from the Iranian government, and then Obama gave it back, and then they said, oh, Obama was the one funding the state-sponsored terrorism. So when Lindsey Graham says he doesn't mind helping the Iranian people, what is he talking about? Is he talking about money? Surely he can't be talking about boots on the ground, because he said we don't have boots on the ground. And he doesn't want to put boots on the ground. So if he's not talking about helping them with boots on the ground, is he talking about money? So no reparations for foundational Black American freedmen, but some for Iranians, right? So what the hell is he talking about helping them? Is he talking about thoughts and prayers and hope, helping them spiritually with cute, cuddly words and whispering sweet nothings in some of their ears? What the fuck is Lindsey Graham talking about? He wants to help them out. Here, we killed your leader so that you guys can choose your next leader. How can we help? You can help by stop meddling in their affairs. You can help by stop trying to be the world's police. You can help by stop killing their leaders. No one thinks that their leaders were angels and infallible, but none of our leaders are angels or infallible, right? So we try to point and say, look at these leaders, they're authoritarian and they're dictators and stuff. It's like, yeah, we got a bunch of authoritarian dictators here. Every day you hear someone calling Trump a fascist. What's the difference between fascism and authoritarianism, right? Not a lot of daylight in between.
Ayatollah is dead. He's dead. It's in America's interest to make sure that Iran can no longer be the largest state sponsor of terrorism. We're close. Once the people decide what they want to do next, I don't mind helping them. But I know what they're not going to be allowed to do next: regenerate the largest state sponsor of terrorism. I'm going to focus on having Iran off the map as the largest state sponsor of terrorism and see if we can build a new Mideast.
All right, we got a lot more to get to. President Trump said the objective is, quote, to defend the American people by eliminating imminent threats from the Iranian regime. What specifically were the imminent threats that justified this operation, Senator?
They were building ballistic missiles that could eventually reach the United States. They have been trying for decades to build a nuclear weapon. Midnight Hammer worked, but they were...
And shout out to Red 6. We killed your leader so you can choose a leader we approve of. That's how he's trying to help, right? And they said that this was an imminent threat. And then let's hear his answer about how imminent of a threat Iran was to the American people.
They were building ballistic missiles that could eventually reach the United States. They have been trying for decades to build a nuclear weapon. Midnight Hammer worked, but they were right back at it.
So they've allegedly been trying for decades to build a nuclear weapon, which Trump and all of his MAGA morons contradict themselves. They said that they've destroyed all of their nuclear capacity. So weeks and months ago, you said that you've destroyed any capacity they had to make a nuclear weapon. And now to justify this war for for the Greater Israel Project. Suddenly, yeah, they had nukes and were making ballistic missiles. Huh? This shit don't even make no sense, bruh.
And see if we can build a new Mideast.
All right, we got a lot more to get to. President Trump said the objective is, quote, to defend the American people by eliminating imminent threats from the Iranian regime. What specifically were the imminent threats that justified this operation, Senator?
They were building ballistic missiles that could eventually reach the United States. They have been trying for decades to build a nuclear weapon. Midnight Hammer worked, but they were right back at it. The Ayatollah is a religious Nazi. His regime was founded around three principles: to purify Islam, to dominate Islam, to take over Islam, to...
It's so annoying when people from America talk about Nazis, whether religious or just anything. Same thing with people with the ICE. ICE is like the Gestapo. No, it's not. It's nothing like the Gestapo. And it's very, it should be disrespectful to people that survive the Holocaust. And it's extremely disrespectful to people who lived through, endured, and survived Jim Crow, to try to say that ICE is like slave catchers and this is Jim Crow 2.0. No, it wasn't. Jim Crow had buildings saying no niggers allowed. Where are the businesses saying no immigrants allowed? Instead, you got a bunch of bigots saying this is a nation of immigrants built by immigrants and all this other stuff. There's a lot of immigrant exceptionalism, more so than anything. Most of these bleeding hearts are bleeding hearts for immigrants. When the same thing happens to American citizen, it's like, get over it. Pull yourself up by your bootstrap. You're American. You know what I mean? If there's a kid from Oakland and he says, look, man, I don't want to live in this gang infested area. You know what I mean? Where could I go to seek asylum? Where could I go to get help? Shut up, nigger. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps, right? But then if there's someone from Bogota or Tijuana, I'm fleeing gang violence. Here, come over here. We'll help you out. You don't speak English, but don't trip. We'll help you with that. Oh, you only have $2 in your pocket? Don't worry. We got some NGOs to help you with that. We'll help you get a driver's license. We'll help you get an EBT card. And you know what? Hey, we'll even try to help you own your own first house. Don't take my word for it. Look any of this stuff up. Mainly in a bunch of these blue cities, California, Chicago, etc., right? But you're just supposed to accept this and don't say a peep about it.
Reached the United States. They have been trying for decades to build a nuclear weapon. Midnight Hammer worked, but they were right back at it. The Ayatollah is a religious Nazi. His regime was founded around three principles: to purify.
Okay, shout out to Tara Sanchez. And Tara, I won't be here for too much longer, but if you want to come up, let me know. I'll drop the link, and salute to the veterans. Thank you for your service. And you said, sounds like a repeat. Very familiar. I'm a veteran and was in during 9/11. Correct. And these are the preliminary statements that they make before they do a full-out war and full-out invasion. Remember when they said that they had WMDs and then they found no WMDs and they're just like, oops, my bad. And they slaughtered over 1 million Iraqis. And like I was saying, when it comes to the man with the funny thick mustache, they say that he's responsible for killing 6 million Jewish people, right? But when it comes to Bush, they don't credit those 1 million Iraqis to Bush. They don't credit those 1 million Iraqis to any Americans. It's just like this was war, so it was just a general casual slaughter. No. Who was the head of state? If it was Bush, then Bush is responsible for 1 million dead Iraqis. Just like y'all would say that Adolf. Did Adolf physically kill 6 million people? We know he didn't. Did he even kill 6 people? Did he kill 6? Did he kill 60? Did he kill 600? You don't know the exact number that Adolf killed. But they say that Adolf killed all 6 million because he was at the helm. Fine. Keeping that same energy, applying that same logic, then Bush killed 1 million Iraqis. right? His hands aren't clean. And the 9/11, they said, was an inside job. Who was held accountable? Who was held accountable? Whose culture of violence and terrorism was that, right? And all it did was usher in more of the surveillance nanny state in the name of protection, with TSA and the mass surveillance with the Patriot Act, and them revamping the Patriot Act, and them revamping the Patriot Act through these social media platforms, having Mark Zuckerberg and Elon spy on you in the name of you just being connected to your neighbor, right? You're connected to your neighbor, but they're connected to all of your bank account, where you live, where you shop, where you go to school at, etc., right? They've desensitized you to the nanny surveillance state. Many people didn't listen to Eric Snowden. Many people didn't care about the Julian Assange WikiLeaks that was extremely revealing. So now people are just comfortable getting spied on. You know what I mean?
Islam, to dominate Islam, largest state sponsor of terrorism. I'm going to focus on having Iran off the map as the largest state sponsor of terrorism and see if we can build a new Mideast.
All right, we got a lot more to get to. President Trump said the objective.
Uh-oh, looks like we've been joined.
Oh, damn! Dr. Fresh, wait a minute. I know you. Wait a minute.
We've been joined by an illustrious guest, OG Patrice, in building. Salute to you, OG Patrice. Hopefully everything is wonderful with you. It's great to see you over here. I sincerely appreciate you for all you do and for all you've done. Salute to OG Patrice. Let's get back into it.
Is, quote, to defend the American people by eliminating imminent threats from the Iranian regime. What specifically were the imminent threats that justified this operation, Senator?
They were building ballistic missiles that could eventually reach the United States. They have been trying for decades to build a nuclear weapon. Midnight Hammer worked, but they were right back at it. The Ayatollah is a religious Nazi. His regime was founded around three principles: to purify Islam, to dominate Islam, to take over Islam, to do away with Saudi Arabia as the center of gravity for Islam and let it be Iran, to kill the Jews, to annihilate the Jewish state and come after us, drive us out of the region. That's what he said. He can't do that anymore because he's dead. And anybody who wants to do that in the future, you're going to be dead too. So the point is, the Iranian threat to the United States through ballistic missiles, through a nuclear program, the proxies have killed a lot of Americans.
What Iranian threat? See, what he's really saying is that they're a threat to Israel. They didn't have any nukes. They already said that they destroyed their nuclear capacity. He said that they're working on getting ballistic missiles. And even if they have ballistic missiles, those ballistic missiles wouldn't reach the U.S. But guess where they could reach? Israel. So is this America first, or is this all about protecting Israel? And since we can clearly see that it is, don't pee on someone's leg and tell them it's raining. You can do that. It's just people don't have to buy it. I literally see that you pulled out your Johnson, you're peeing on this person's leg, and you're like, no. It's raining. No, the forecast says that it's 70 degrees and sunny. Ain't no rain.
Saudi Arabia is the center of gravity for Islam and let it be Iran, to kill the Jews, to annihilate the Jewish state and come after us, drive us out of the region. That's what he said. He can't do that anymore because he's dead. And anybody who wants to do that.
Look up who's killed more people in conflict. Have more Iranians killed Jews or more Jews killed Iranians in Middle Eastern Arabs? Get back to me when you find what the number is.
The Jewish state and come after us, drive us out of the region. That's what he said. He can't do that anymore because he's dead. And anybody who wants to do that in the future, you're going to be dead too. So the point is, the Iranian threat to the United States through ballistic missiles, through a nuclear program, the proxies have killed a lot of Americans. Hezbollah has American blood on its hands, so does Hamas. None of that's going to be able to happen again. They were threats to us. President Donald J. Trump, you eliminated one of the largest.
So he's talking about Hezbollah and Hamas has American blood on their hand. What about the American blood Israel has on their hands? Did y'all forget about the USS Liberty when Israelis killed Americans? It was just like, oops, my bad. Can anyone report, find me a report of Americans accidentally killing Israelis? You can find some Israelis accidentally killing Americans and saying, oops, my bad. Send us some more billions. Thank you.
Threats to the United States by taking this regime down. We're not there yet, but we're close. And when this regime goes down, I'm going to work my ass off with Democrats to build on what Biden tried to do, get Saudi Arabia to recognize Israel, which would be the biggest change in 1,000 years. And we can't do it until the terrorist regime in Iran is replaced. And we're
Hold on. He just said this was about America's interests, and now he's saying that they're going to work diligently with the Democrats to make sure that Saudi Arabia recognizes Israel. Why does this shit keep coming back to Israel? Right. And I get it. People will try to say it's anti-Semitic because you're saying it's the G. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that it's this Israeli government, and conveniently, coincidentally, many of them may happen to be Jews, but it's not about them being Jews. It's about these rabid Israeli Zionists, and many of them are not Israeli. Lindsey Graham is a Zionist. Joe Biden is a Zionist. So sometimes people think that being a Zionist is reserved only for Jewish people, namely white Jewish people. But no, when it comes to America, most of the Zionists are Christian. At least they purport to be.
one of the largest threats to the United States by taking this regime down. We're not there yet, but we're close. And when this regime goes down, I'm going to work my ass off with Democrats to build on what Biden tried to do, get Saudi Arabia to recognize Israel.
And Dark Gable says Democrats are too busy pushing sugar booty agendas. So yeah, the Democrats, what they've made the calculus is that their issue is going to be immigrants. So you're going to hear a ramp of, this is a nation of immigrants built by immigrants, so we have to give immigrant exceptionalism, and immigrants are the greatest thing since sliced bread. So they're going to ramp up that rhetoric, and oh my God, look at what Trump is doing to immigrants, right? They don't care about police brutality anymore because you know who that disproportionately affects. Many of the police brutality is happening towards white people, but per capita, the disproportionate brutality and barbarism that kills people, it disproportionately happens to black people. But there's more white people being killed by cops because they're the majority of the country. But many don't care. It's like this police brutality and police state is not about black people. It's about Americans. The whole don't tread on my rights. People will say don't tread on my rights, and then they'll champion a police state because they think they're sticking it to the niggers. We don't want a bunch of George Floyds running around. It's like, bro, now they're policing your neighborhood and surveilling you. Now your rights are being restricted because you thought you was sticking it to the blacks, right? So the Democrats going forward, and this is what they've always been trying to inch to because they want to ditch the blacks, you know what I mean? They want the blacks to just be a mindless minion and a political doormat that everyone steps on and steps over, but they use the pain and plight of black people to advance all of these other agendas, right? So this is what they'll do. Black people got dog sicked on them. Black people were redlined. Black people were lynched. Black people were enslaved, debt peeing and sharecropping. And in order to address and rectify that, we're going to open the border and give the resources to immigrants. I mean, that's what the Democrats like to do, right? Because that's a civil rights issue. So now they're pushing all they're going to push is more open borders, more mass amnesty or pathways to citizenship, like they say. Now they keep saying that trans people are being under attack, right? So the trans community is what, 1% or less than 1% of the population. So they say, we can't do anything for you niggers. You're only 13% of the population, allegedly. But we can do something for trans people who are less than 1% or 1% of the population. We can do something for Asians who are 7 or 6% of the population. We can do something for Jewish people who are like 2% of the population. But you niggers are 13% of the population. We just can't do anything for you. You know what I mean? But they will use your pain, your tribulations to advance these agendas.
Which would be the biggest change of the region. That's what he said. He can't do that anymore because he's dead. And anybody who wants to do that in the future, you're going to be dead too. So the point is, the Iranian threat to the United States through ballistic missiles, through a nuclear program, the proxies have killed a lot of Americans. Hezbollah has American blood on its hands, so does Hamas. None of that's going to be able to happen again. They were threats to us. President Donald J. Trump, you eliminated one of the largest threats to the United States by taking this regime down. We're not there yet, but we're close. And when this regime goes down, I'm going to work my ass off with Democrats to build on what Biden tried to do, get Saudi Arabia to recognize Israel, which would be the biggest change in 1,000 years. And we can't do it until the terrorist regime in Iran is replaced. And we're very, very close.
Senator, let me ask you, because the president's opposition to regime change and war, quite frankly, was central to what he described as his America First agenda. On Saturday, former Republican Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene wrote this, quote, "We said no more foreign wars, no more regime change. We said it on rally stage after rally stage, speech after speech. Trump, Vance, basically the entire administration campaigned on it and promised to put America first and make America great again." Did the president's strikes on Iran go against everything that he promised the American people, Senator?
Quite the opposite. He promised to keep us safe, to stand up to people who would hurt America. She's a former congressman for a reason. What is it? America First is the following. Make sure that no regime who wishes to hurt America can. To make sure that they don't have a ballistic missile capability to attack our country. They have American blood on their hands. We destroyed their missile program, the nuclear program. They were coming right back at it. America First is not isolationism. America First is not head in the...
Here he goes with the lies again. So he says it alleges that they destroyed their nuclear program, but they were right back at it. You can't destroy a program and then just say they were right back at it. Let's just say they were right back at it, right? How long would it have taken them to be viable having a nuclear weapon? You can't say you destroyed it and then what? They were right back at it. What the hell does that mean? The next day they were at it, the next week, the next month, and right back at what, right? Attempting to build something that they don't have the capacity to do. So all of this shit is just like a bunch of incoherent babbling by Lindsey the Bozo Graham.
What is it? America First is the following. Make sure that no regime who wishes to hurt America can. To make sure that they don't have a ballistic missile capability to attack our country. They have American blood on their hands. We destroyed their missile program, the nuclear program. They were coming right back at it. America First is not isolationism. America First is not head in the sand. America First is not to get entangled. We're not going to have any boots on the ground in Iran, but America First is to kill people who wish us ill with a record of trying to destroy us in the region, to take them off the table. Celebrate today, please, my Democratic colleagues, that the most evil man on the planet is no more. He terrorized his own people. 32,000 people at least have been killed protesting a better life. He was trying to get a nuclear weapon. He was building missiles to hit the United States. He was a religious Nazi that had a horrible agenda for the region and the world. He is no more. Well done, President Trump. Well done to your team. This is something to celebrate.
Senator, let me follow up with you on this point, because on Friday, Vice President Vance says there's, quote, no chance of a long conflict in Iran. But President Trump said a drawn out war is, quote, always a risk. So which is it? Could Iran, in fact, become another forever war, Senator?
Give me a break. We're going to beat Iran. The Arabs are now joined with us. When the Iranians attacked their Arab neighbors, they made a fatal mistake. We're going to have Arab countries use military force to take this regime down. The Arab world is living for the day that Iran is no more. The Iranian regime has.
Israel will say that, hey, they're the only democracy in the Middle East, and that some will say that Israel is the safest place for Jewish people, right? Does anyone really believe that? How the fuck is Israel the safest place for Jewish people? It's the most dangerous place for Israeli and Jewish people, especially when it's being, commandeered, right? Or you have a genocidal nut job at the helm, right? That seems like a pretty dangerous proposition to have your people in. However, there's a bunch of Jewish people in New York, right? And they have their own Jewish enclaves with their own hospital, police, teachers, etc. You mean to tell me that Israel is safer than how Jews are living in Florida and New York? Give me a break.
Iran, but President Trump said a drawn out war is, quote, always a risk. So which is it? Could Iran, in fact, become another forever war, Senator?
Give me a break. We're going to beat Iran. The Arabs are now joined with us. When the Iranians attacked their Arab neighbors, they made a fatal mistake. We're going to have Arab countries use military force.
Then he just says the Arabs. I mean, there's a bunch of Arab Israelis. There's Arab Palestinians. There's Arab Egyptians, right? There's black Arabs, because there's no race called Arab. So what Arabs is he talking about? The Jordanians, the Lebanese people, the Egyptians? He just says Arab, generic, and the host is not going to push them on it. Because, of course, she's there to offer, very mild pushback. She gave zero pushback, but she's here to ask the questions and kind of just let him bloviate and obfuscate.
Well done, President Trump. Well done to your team. This is something to celebrate.
Senator, let me follow up with you on this point, because on Friday, Vice President Vance says there's, quote, no chance of a long conflict in Iran. But President Trump said a drawn out war is, quote, always a risk. So which is it? Could Iran, in fact, become another forever war, Senator?
Give me a break. We're going to beat Iran. The Arabs are now joined with us. When the Iranians attacked their Arab neighbors, they made a fatal mistake. We're going to have Arab countries use military force to take this regime down. The Arab world is living for the day that Iran is no more. The Iranian regime has terrorized the region.
I would say everyone in your local area, look and see if your state or your specific city is funding Israel. Many people don't even know it, right? There was a city in Texas that was sending $4+ million to Israel. And when the local said, hell no, man, this ain't cool. Abbott said, no, you can't protest against this money. And if you do, it's anti-Semitic. So all of the people that say, y'all need to stop begging, why y'all going to the government asking for handouts? Many of these groups and nation states that allegedly don't need handouts somehow always seem to be asking our government for goodies, giveaways, and guarantees, while at the same time saying, stop having a victim mentality. Why y'all begging the government? Why are Israelis begging the government? I'm talking about the people in power, the bigwigs, the elites, and the plutocrats. Elon Musk, right? Do you think Elon Musk pulled himself up by his bootstrap, saved money to work on his business ventures, or did he go to the big daddy government? Mark Zuckerberg was put on by the government. Jeff Bezos, government. Steve Jobs, government. Palantir, government. You can just go on and on and on and on. All of these institutions that are telling you don't expect anything from the government. They're getting everything from the government, right? Let's get back into it. And I don't have too much longer left. This video is only about 2 minutes left. I'm going to get ready to shut her down. And depending on how much time I might come back and do a double header, but that one will be much shorter, probably like 50-50. We'll see how this goes and what the response is to this one. But I appreciate y'all being here with me. So it's only about a few minutes left of this video, and I'll get ready to shut her down.
Is, quote, always a risk. So which is it? Could Iran, in fact, become another forever war, Senator?
Give me a break. We're going to beat Iran. The Arabs are now joined with us. When the Iranians attacked their Arab neighbors, they made a fatal mistake. We're going to have Arab countries use military force to take this regime down. The Arab world is living for the day that Iran is no more. The Iranian regime has terrorized the region. They've killed Americans. They've terrorized the entire region. You're going to see Arabs join the fight. So this is a historic moment where the Arab world and the United States have joined together to take down the largest state sponsor of terrorism, a truly evil man, a religious Nazi who no longer can rain terror on his people or the world.
So he'll call the Ayatollah of Iran evil, but he won't call Bibi Netanyahu evil. Interesting.
You know, when Obama took bin Laden out, I clapped like a seal. I gave him credit. It was a great thing to do. It was the right thing to do. This is the right thing to do.
So look how they try to play these games, right? They say Obama took bin Laden out. Actually, he didn't. Did Obama pull the trigger, right? Obama didn't do anything. Oh, he was at the helm. So if someone assassinates bin Laden, you, the person that pulled the trigger, no, you didn't kill bin Laden. It was Obama. Okay, fine. We have to, that same energy and that same logic must apply across the board. So that means when there were over 1 million Iraqis dead, guess who killed them? George W., right? Isn't that what he said? Obama killed bin Laden. Fine. That was Obama who did that. And it was Bush who killed over 1 million Iraqis. And it was Obama who killed an American citizen in a drone strike. It wasn't, it wasn't the error of the operator. That was Obama, right?
States have joined together to take down the largest state sponsor of terrorism, a truly evil man, a religious Nazi who no longer can rain terror on his people or the world. When Obama took bin Laden out, I clapped like a seal. I gave him credit. It was a great thing to do. It was the right thing to do. This is the right thing to do. We negotiated with these people over and over again. They were not interested in giving up their nuclear program because they're religious Nazis. They have a religious agenda. I don't think everybody in Iran's a religious Nazi.
And like I already said, I'm just so sick of this Nazi rhetoric. Even if he was a religious Nazi, why are people acting like that's a deal breaker? Do y'all forget the people in the Charleston, Jews will not replace us. Jews will not replace us. Do y'all forget that there was an American Nazi party? That wasn't because of Adolf. There was no gun to their head forcing them to construct that American Nazi party. Why would the governing body of the land allow that to go on if Nazis were so deplorable and disgusting, right? When there was a war, many of the Nazis, when it was time to have a ceasefire, guess who the Nazis were sitting with, right? The Nazis were sitting with the other wacko Confederates and other white bigots over here, right? So they didn't even want to sit with the foundational Black Americans. They'd rather sit with the white German Nazis. And America tries to have this revisionist history as if Nazis were just so bad. What is the difference between a Nazi over here and a bunch of Confederates over here that are killing black people based just on them being black. The Nazis want to kill someone just based on them being Jewish. What is the difference again? You know what I mean? But you have to make one group appear as if they're just, oh my God, they're so detestable. If that's the case, why were a bunch of Ukrainian Nazis allowed to immigrate into the country? And let's revisit that American Nazi Party again. Why was Adolf the Times Man of the Year in America? Interesting.
Religious Nazi who no longer can rain terror on his people or the world. You know, when Obama took bin Laden out, I clapped like a seal. I gave him credit. It was a great thing to do. It was the right thing to do. This is the right thing to do. We negotiated with these people over and over again. They were not interested in giving up their nuclear program because they're religious Nazis. They have a religious agenda. I don't think everybody in Iran's a religious Nazi.
Senator, let me get this final question in because it's an important one. As a member of the House, you voted.
Yes, he was born in Philly, FBA, but you said on Google, it says he was born in Tel Aviv. Yeah, they're rewriting history right in front of you. And this is why people are standing on lineage business so that they don't just create FBAs and turn us into these generic Africans. But yeah, not only that, Bibi Netanyahu, his family descends from Poland, right? So he's a European, right? And most people try to say Europeans are universally, the majority of them are considered white, right? So it gets heavy, right? And then these are the people that they're saying that they're the chosen people that the Bible was speaking about. Show me the verse in scripture where the Bible mentions Bibi Netanyahu. His name isn't even Netanyahu. He changed his name to sound more Jewish, just like many Jewish people change their name to sound more American or less Jewish so they can blend in with the whites, right? And if they weren't white, how would they be able to change their name and just blend in? Could only blend in if you look close enough and if you are close enough. And since race is a social construct and it's fluid, that would mean that they are white. If you can blend in with white and you're white passing, you're only white passing because you are white. And if you're not white, then let me know what you are, right? If Jews are not white, fine. I'm willing to accept that. But what race are they? They're saying they're not black. They're saying they're not this. Some would say that they're Asiatic. But if that's the case, then let me hear them say that. But that's not what they're saying. In fact, when they have the opportunity, 92% of American Jews identify as racially white, but I'm not supposed to call them white because reasons.
To give former President George W. Bush approval to go to war with Iraq back in 2002, does Congress now need to vote to approve this war with Iran?
No, I have no desire. I think the War Powers Act is unconstitutional. What are we doing here?
But what's the difference? You voted to give George Bush authorization to go to war with.
So now he's saying that Congress doesn't even need to vote for this to be a war. He's like, yeah, you know, Trump has the War Powers Act. So he doesn't care if Trump is running amok in the Middle East. This shit is not America first. Bombing all these proxy countries for Israel is not America first. And here you got this lunatic Lindsey Graham up here saying, yeah, well, don't really need congressional approval. The War Powers Act, he can just kind of do what he wants. You know what I mean? This is the incompetent leadership that are running our country into the ground, right? Will there even be a country for your kids to thrive in? Not with stooges like this at the helm.
Important one. As a member of the House, you voted to give former President George W. Bush approval to go to war with Iraq back in 2002. Does Congress now need to vote to approve this war with Iran?
No, I have no desire. I think the War Powers Act is unconstitutional. What are we doing here?
But what's the difference? You voted to give George Bush authorization to go to war with Iraq.
Because he came and asked. He came and asked.
So does President Trump need to ask?
They wanted the authority. No, that's what I'm trying to tell you. This is a military operation designed to eliminate threats that have existed against our country. What are the threats? Ballistic missile programs that were getting bigger, not smaller, an effort to reestablish a nuclear program that could threaten us in the region, an effort to keep the proxy network alive that has American blood on its hands. He was justified doing this. Every president before him talked about doing it. Okay. He actually did it. He has the legal authority to do it. And these operations will continue until the threat is no longer there. The new Iran will not be allowed to threaten America. It will not be allowed to be the largest state sponsor of terrorism ever again. And that opens up historic opportunities.
All right, Senator.
So he says the new Iran can't threaten America. However, America could threaten Iran on behalf of Israel. How does this make America great again? This is wild. And like I said, y'all could have been anywhere in the world. Y'all chose to be here with me, at least momentarily. And for that, I thank you. So it looks like we got over 100 people in the chat, and I can guarantee that we don't have 100 likes. But if we can get closer to that 100 likes, that will be greatly appreciated. This will help boost the video and the algorithm. Somebody told me my channel was shadow banned. I don't know how they can tell, but these types of things will help override the shadow ban. It won't cost you a fee. The likes are free. Let me give you a friendly reminder. Time for a like intermission. We kindly request that you show love to the channel's creator and platform by leaving a like, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell to stay up to date with all the latest content. Liking posts is completely free and helps the algorithm boost our reach. We want to grow the community larger and larger. So thank you all who take the time to support us. It does mean the world to us and doesn't go unnoticed. Okay, so this is the moment of the stream where I'm about to wind it down. I will only be here for about like 10 more minutes. So hopefully y'all stick around to the end so I could hit y'all with some visuals. I appreciate y'all sincerely.
If you feel the vibe, like, share, and subscribe. We growing on this journey. Come and take a ride. If you wanna slide with that dude, be easy. We going all the way to the top, believe me. All the way to the top, believe me.
Ay, 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 yo. B-Eazy is that dude, you already know. For sure, you already know. It's easy to see why he is that dude. He's been a favorite, even if you hating it. Give him his flowers, pay him respect. He's a certified legend and one of the best. B-Eazy, remember the name.
B-Eazy Dat Dude.
shitting on them like doo-doo. I can't fuck with y'all like tofu. I'm just saying, man, like Goku. Bad bitches at the house with me watching Netflix or Roku. Fuck them both at the same time, and I swear to God it was so cool. Street legend, real boss, I call shots cause I'm still saucy. I know some G's to the bike crack on Chirac and then fly back out to Milwaukee. When they hear me flow, they say I be burning up, burning up. Cookies to the draw is what we burning up, burning up. What you ain't know, oh, we burning up, burning up. This shit so hot, it's burning up. Just go ahead and turn this up. When you hear me flow, say I be burning up, burning up. Cookies to the draw is what we burning up, burning up. What you ain't know, oh, we burning up, burning up. This shit so hot, it's burning up. Just go ahead and turn this up.
B-Eazy that dude. B-Eazy that dude. Yeah, they know the name. Stacking up the paper, but having money ain't a thing. Standing on business, burning hotter than a flame. From the block to the boardroom, you gotta stand the rain. B-Eazy that dude. Yeah, they know the name. Stacking up the paper, but having money ain't a thing. Standing on business, burning hotter than a flame. From the block to the boardroom, you gotta stand the rain. B-Eazy that dude, yeah, they know the name. B-Eazy that dude.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?
Follow. Be easy. You know you want to.
We're waiting. Thank you. You love me. You really love me. You're not going anywhere.
B-Eazy Dat Dude.
Yeah.